delighted to welcome all of you to the 58th graduating class of the Roeper Schools. It's my great joy to welcome our graduates' families, loved ones, and faculty to this celebration of learning and achievement. After one full year at Roeper, I am deeply grateful for the wisdom and generosity so many of you have shared with me. I respect Roeper for keeping learning and community in dual focus every single day for 84 years. I have spent time this year reading the philosophy of Anna Marie and George Roeper, and there is one concept that I want to highlight that has especially stayed with me, and that is the concept of self-actualization and interdependence. As we grow to understand ourselves, we also recognize our deep connection to one another within this community and the wider world. With that comes an awareness of our agency and our responsibility to those around us. Yes, Roeper is a school for gifted learners, but giftedness alone is not what makes Roeper unique. What sets us apart is that we do not pursue knowledge simply for knowledge's sake. Instead, we ask, what is knowledge for? How should we use it? At Roeper, intellectual pursuits carry an ethical imperative. We are called to consider, how do we live together? How do we engage respectfully with those who have different perspectives? How do we make the world better? And what does better mean? I think of Roeper as a microcosm of the world we all aspire to live in. Our community is alive, much like a garden, and it thrives on care and attention. I believe this is exactly the active work that Anna Marie and George Roeper envisioned. We learn, and then we apply our knowledge in ethical ways, with integrity. Today, we are living in a world marked by profound disruption. For starters, as middle schoolers, you lived through the pandemic, a time of social isolation, uncertainty, and a loss of confidence in science and evidence. Now you are entering a world that faces serious challenges: a vulnerable ecosystem, a vast and growing disparity in opportunity, income, and wealth, and deep questions about how we create a more just and sustainable world. In addition, we are all witness to paradigm-shifting technological innovation that affects everything we do and impacts our humanity, economy, and ecology in ways that we do not yet fully understand. These factors have left us fewer common spaces with which to interact with people of different backgrounds, different perspectives, and experiences. So yes, you are leaving Roeper during an era of human history characterized by enormous disruption and challenges that may feel daunting. You are entering a world with existential challenges not of your own making. But these challenges are also why I find myself very hopeful today. The world needs people who can think critically, engage respectfully across difference, and act with both conviction and humility. Our shared future is in your hands, and your humanity is more important than ever. I, for one, feel very encouraged by that fact. Roeper has prepared you with the critical thinking, the agency, and the energy of your voices to be leaders in these complex times. You have been architects of your studies and extracurricular activities. You have forged relationships with other students and faculty. As a testament to those relationships, members of the faculty will speak for you today. You have also acted on issues that are important to you. You baked lasagnas for people experiencing food insecurity. You led teams, clubs, and affinity groups. You organized events and campaigns focused on civic engagement and service, including a recent blood drive. You codified improved communications between students and the head of school, and you created curricula for the lower school students and next year's Birmingham students. You shared your art, music, writing, and poetry. You strengthened this community, and you've left it better than you found it. All of this is because you cared and exercised your voices. You have left your mark on Roeper in ways that will outlast your time here. We are better for your contributions. Each of you is on the path of your own choosing. Most of you have already declared your majors. Some of you will change your minds. That's not a failure of planning. It's evidence of learning and growing. Always be open to the power of this yet to be. One of the greatest gifts Roeper has given you is not simply a body of knowledge, but a set of tools. First, Stay curious. Continue asking difficult questions and resist the temptation to accept simple answers to complex problems. The habit of inquiry may be one of the most valuable things you take with you from Roeper. The world needs thoughtful, ethical people who are willing and able to contribute to their communities. Next, protect your intellectual integrity. In a world increasingly shaped by algorithms and artificial intelligence, remain the author of your own thinking and hold on to your capacity for independent thought. Learn from technology, but do not let it replace your judgment, creativity, or humanity. And finally, practice the balance at the heart of Roeper's philosophy, self-actualization and interdependence. Pursue your own growth and aspirations, but never lose sight of your responsibility to others. So be generous with your time, your talents, and your attention. Your success and the well-being of your communities are not competing goals. They are deeply, deeply connected. Former Congressman from New York, Shirley Chisholm, who was also the first Black woman to run for president, used to say, and this is something I enjoy thinking about and quoting fairly often, she said, "If you don't get a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." Your voice has mattered here at Roeper, and it will continue to matter if you use it. Carry that metaphorical folding chair with you wherever you go, and when you take your seat at the table, make room for others to join you. That is how you will lead. That is how you will strengthen communities, expand opportunity, and put interdependence into practice. That is how you will forge a better future for all of us. My faith and trust and confidence are in each and every one of you. Congratulations.
I just want to say before I start with Peter Roeper's speech that it's an honor to be representing him. Anybody who knows him will miss seeing him this year, and I very sincerely miss him being in today. So he, like the rest of his family, does not mince words when they are talking about what is important to them. So this is Peter Roeper's message to all of you. I want to thank you for inviting one of my siblings or me to every graduation. This allows us to stay connected to the school and hopefully reinforces the Roeper legacy. I am sorry that I cannot be with you in person due to health reasons. As you probably know, my parents were forced to come to this country because of racial hatred by the Nazis. My mother's maiden name was Bondi, and the Bondis were Jews. Some of our family relatives died in concentration camps. We were brought up with the sense that such terror was always around the corner. My parents insisted that everyone in the family have an up-to-date passport in case we were forced to leave. Everyone in my family, like many others, has been branded with the terror of the Nazis and their ilk. It is visceral, and it is happening again. My parents would be appalled, shocked, and distressed by the actions of the current administration, an attitude I expect many of you share. They saw in Nazi Germany the power of hatred and hubris turned into action by an uncontrolled government. I'm glad my parents did not get to see such similar actions in this country. An internal army taking people off the street to send them to concentration camps. The systematic destruction of our institutions, including the courts, the abandonment of civil rights and morality, and a belief that power is everything. My parents did not come to this country for this. Virtually everything Trump is doing is anathema to everything my parents stood for, and in my mind, what the Roeper School stands for today. George and Anna Marie, however, did not start the school to be overtly political. Instead, following in the steps of the Bondi schools, they intentionally started a school to represent a different kind of society. They had the insight, based on their background in Freudian psychology, that a crucial step in that process was to address how people interact with and think of each other. Several themes are central to their vision of human relations: respect, trust, fairness, and equality. They wanted to de-emphasize the role of power in interactions and to reduce the role of hierarchy in relations. Instead, they wanted to foster relations based on empathy, understanding, and an awareness of differences, and compassion. For them, no concern or emotion was wrong. In their school, everyone has the right to speak and be heard. The word obey was never to be heard. Explanations and reasons were required. Disputes would be managed by discussions with everyone involved whenever possible. As educators, they wanted a culture of nurturing and guidance to be a basic principle. I believe my parents would be happy that the school they wanted still exists. I also want to underline to the graduating seniors and future Roeper graduates that much of the rest of American society is quite different from life at our school. This country is very large and diverse. There are different religions, ethnicities, historical background groups, and moral beliefs honed over centuries. You may find that you can respect people with very different values and solutions. In many ways, this diversity is a plus and one that the school has encouraged. Nonetheless, a basic dynamic of American society is competition and power relations where values as a guiding force are absent. Getting ahead as an individual is often seen as much more important than cultivating a community, upholding values, or even common decency. Still, fortunately, there are large numbers of people who share many of the values of our school. One of the many values is empathy. And as you move on from school, your understanding of society, as well as your values, may be challenged. You will have to try to understand that other people may come from quite diverse backgrounds and different values, different styles of thinking, and different solutions. This may cause you confusion, chagrin, frustration, and anger, or you may find diversity as a great opportunity to open your horizons and understand things you did not before. You will learn and adjust and understand. However, never give up interacting with respect, compassion, and decency while trying to exemplify values that are important to you. Be true to yourself and cultivate caring communities wherever you can. Thank you so much for listening. From Peter.
All right, hello everyone. I hope everyone's having a nice day so far. I wanted to start off my speech today by talking about a quote that holds a lot of importance to me, so much so that I actually put it on the top of my grad cap for today. It's a quote from Walt Whitman's Song of Myself that says, "I in this mystery, here we stand." Now, as several of you may know, I first encountered this line in my forensics piece this year. Initially, I didn't think much of it, but the more I've dwelled on it over the last few months, the more its message has spoken to me. What I've come to love about this quote is the perspective it gives about my relationship to the world around me. In comparison to our individual experiences, the universe is much more complicated than we will ever comprehend. And while that can sound scary, it doesn't mean we're unimportant. On the contrary, our small size in relation to everything outside of us is what gives us room to pursue our passions and goals. In particular, I think it's especially important for us to consider our place in the world as new graduates, ready to embark on new paths with new people in new and exciting places. In situations like this, when one chapter is closing and we have no idea what the next might hold, it's easy to turn inward and focus only on ourselves and our own worries. But I encourage myself and my fellow graduates to instead look outward at all the possibilities that lie ahead. We stand in a unique position as young adults, freshly imbued with the drive and determination of youth, with the opportunity to make meaningful change. Roeper has always taught us to be citizens of the world, a lesson that reminds us that we are all interconnected and have an obligation to help each other. But more than that, being a citizen of the world means focusing not only on our own interests, but being cognizant of other perspectives and experiences that can broaden our worldview. Most of us on this stage hold some kind of privilege, whether by virtue of our economic class, our race, or our gender. It's especially important for us to recognize that privilege and listen to experiences outside of our own. So, class of 2026, as we move on to the next stage of our lives, I hope we carry with us three things. First, take pride in our journey here. hasn't always been easy, and it won't be in the future. But remember that we've done hard things before and grown to become better people because of it. Second, be open to new experiences. Don't shy away from things that are uncomfortable. In fact, pursue them. The most rewarding experiences are those that challenge us and force us to learn, change, and evolve. Finally, never stop trying to make the world a better place. It's easy to get caught up in our own personal struggles and concerns, but we can't forget to keep looking outward and pursue a future that we can all be proud of. So thank you to the teachers, families, and friends who got us here. And to my fellow graduates, congratulations.
Sorry, I'm a little shorter than everyone else who's spoken so far. This year, I had the pleasure of getting to know Jack as he worked as my engineering designs TA. I had a class full of middle schoolers, most of whom wanted to do woodworking projects. When Wendy approached Jack, Roper's resident woodworker, to ask if he had any interest in helping me, Jack, as anyone who knows him would expect, immediately and happily agreed to help. Jack worked most closely alongside a group of middle schoolers to build a doghouse. It was quite the task. Save for Jack, none of these kids had done any woodworking before or even really used a power tool. Using the saws and the machines can be intimidating, and Jack helped the younger students build confidence while ensuring all safety protocols were followed and messes cleaned up. It took them about 5 months, but in the end, Jack had successfully taught 4 kids to design and build a functional outdoor doghouse. Jack is an incredible mentor to the younger students. He's a very thoughtful, intentional person, and his calm nature helps ground the people around him. Working with kids that age requires a lot of patience and gentle guidance, which Jack has in spades. Over time, he became seen by the students as another teacher. They would listen carefully to him and took his feedback to heart. He held their attention without demanding it, and his authority was respected while he kept his usual conversational tone. Jack earns their trust and respect, and his presence and energy is already missed in my classroom by me and the students. Watching him this year further exemplified things we all know about Jack. He's incredibly confident in himself and his abilities, and as natural a leader as I've ever seen. He's genuine and authentic. Jack never hesitates to speak his mind and forge his own path. He's curious, asks big, insightful questions, and works to understand topics from a variety of angles and viewpoints. Moreover, he doesn't shy away from difficult conversations and respectfully engages and listens even when he disagrees. He's hungry to learn, but his end goal is not simply to know things. He aims to truly, deeply understand them. You can always count on Jack to say what needs to be said over what someone wants to hear, while delivered in an earnest, empathetic manner. He critiques the art, not the artist, and encourages those around them to just go for it, whether that means trying something new and hard, starting a business, or even encouraging his friends to go ask a girl out. In addition to being phenomenally bright, Jack is generous with his time and energy. He's always finding ways to utilize his talents for good. He took 2 different shelving units from Kevin's room and repaired them, both structurally and visually. When Todd wanted some pens made from broken arrows, Jack took on the task and started teaching others how to make them too. He is always offering his help to anyone who needs it. And when he's given a task, ensures it is done perfectly. He's very deliberate, always working to make the best thing, to be the best person he can. In the fall, Jack will be attending Stevens Institute of Technology, majoring in quantitative finance. If his entrepreneurial skills, love of finance, and Jack Jurassic Coaster Co. is any indication, he'll be on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list not long after graduating. We've been so lucky to have been graced with his spirit and his energy the last 2 years, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I now present you Roeper graduate, Jack Jurassic.
you say hello? No, I said hello. That's close enough. One of the many things I appreciate about Olive is her love for the Jim Henson cult classic, Labyrinth. It's a whimsical tale of adventure, empowerment, and quirky misfits told with a sort of twisted creativity perfect for a Roeper kid. This seemingly shy gal reaches out of her comfort zone and truly experiences life. Senior year alone includes performing in her first musical, participating in her first forensics competition, and chaperoning Ohio Pile. As legend has it, not only chaperoning, but also getting a preview of her potential future park ranger career by helping to rescue another group after capsizing in the Whitewater Rapids. Like Labyrinth, Olive is full of surprises, she is alluring, and a little twisted. The worm in Labyrinth explains things are not always what they seem in this place, so you can't take anything for granted. Olive is much the same. And her friend Brooklyn puts it perfectly. Do not let Olive's quiet, unassuming demeanor fool you. She's full of surprises. Olive is such a kind, friendly, and considerate individual, as well as so incredibly knowledgeable and deeply passionate about the things she cares about. She is a very good listener and genuinely one of the sweetest people I know. And that's not even to mention her awesome sense of style or her truly incredible art. Some of my favorite moments with Olive are those spent simply sitting together and listening and learning as she tells me about a bird that we hear calling in the distance. Truly one of the unsung heroes of our grade. Thank you, Brooklyn. When Olive is passionate about a topic, it tends to draw others in. Her English teacher, Kelly, reflects, my favorite conversations with Olive take place at the end of class when she lingers to offer her great insight into various topics, including birds. Whether it's the impressive might of the red-tailed hawk or the antics of the turkey vulture, because, as I have learned from Olive, turkey vultures are goofy. A conversation with Olive will always enlighten and offer authentic connection. Olive's passions are clear, and she generously shares them with the spirit that draws others in. Thank you, Kelly. Finally, Olive has a twisted, creative side. Olive's forensics coach, Dan Jacobs, shared, Olive was a horrifying addition to the Roeper forensics team this year. As in, she brought her love of all things horror to the forensics platform. She is a horror missionary, converting every person she encounters to a fan of her preferred podcasts. As one of her favorite horror characters once said, a story is a trap, and Olive is more than happy to trap you in a story where the hallways move at impossible angles and weird stag-like creatures are hunting you. If you don't want to follow her, she is also more than happy to push you into infinity or turn you into a crab. That's pretty weird, Dan. So, through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, Olive, you are off to your next adventure at Kalamazoo College, studying biology and environmental science, and congratulations to Roeper graduate, Olive Perry.
Murphy is most definitely a self-motivated person. Whether talking to teachers and reading comments from friends, the theme is universal. Lewis is a serious person. He's not one to go off on tangents, nor is he one to mess around. Focused and determined are the adjectives that I read and hear the most. Lewis came to Roeper a little late. He was already into his sophomore year and had to learn the ways of a very unusual school. I asked him what made him decide to come, and after a bit of discussion, he told me about how during the interview he was shadowing Justice Broughton. But during the lunch block following Justice, he joined a group of students in the cafe. After a short time talking to them, he realized right away that this is where he belonged. I was with people who got me. They were my kind of people, he said. Lewis told me that he really enjoyed math and physics because this is perhaps the first time that he really needed to ask for help. And that was a difficult transition that made him a much stronger individual. Learning how to think about hard things while things are getting harder was very inspirational. There is always a solution, he said. even if it's not what you expected. Drive yourself to think differently and feel comfortable making the assumptions you know are wrong, but will simplify the problem and allow you to get to a solution you can tweak later. It's a very helpful way of thinking about the world. And it's not just in the classroom. Friends speak of a quirky but determined personality. Whether it's developing a drawing, cozying up with a friend under a blanket, or powering through a 3-mile run when their shoe falls off in the first mile. Justice Broughton talked about what an amazing artist Lewis is. His art is incredible, Justice said. He makes the most amazing animations, drawings, and paintings with such detailed, beautiful stories behind every one. A stellar writer. His voice resonates throughout the room when he sings. Every single time I encounter his art, it sucks me in. Brooklyn Pfeffer talks about Lewis's no-nonsense approach to life. He isn't afraid to call a spade, Brooklyn says. He is genuinely one of the most understanding, trustworthy, and loyal individuals I know. I couldn't tell you how many times I got stuck in my own head about something, convinced myself of various falsehoods, and would have gotten away with it if it weren't for Lewis's level-headed assurance and seemingly endless patience. He remains sensible in times of crisis. He's the kind of person that will go out of his way to procure gifts for people he cares about. Lewis has become very motivated in the style of the show Gravity Falls and has begun making his own short animations. His works tend to flow in the style of an old MTV VH1 music video, and they're very clever and well designed. Although he usually only sends them to his closest friends, I was honored that he showed me one of his latest creations and made me excited to see what he's going to come up with next. His interests in science, math, and technology are clearly oriented in how he can make his animations better. He was very excited by Logan's bio classes, especially related to biosystems and how the body moves and interacts. His interest in physics and engineering are also strongly motivated by these questions. Lewis will be going down the road to Ann Arbor, where he will be attending Stamp's School of Art and Design with a possible joint degree at LSA, possibly studying physics or engineering or bio, but whatever it is, it will almost certainly be related to developing these wonderful animation skills with a long-term goal of developing animation for TV programs. Fellow Roeperians, I present Roeper graduate Lewis Murphy.
Played golf in his sophomore and junior years at Roeper, and this year he came to me and he said he would not be on the golf team. I asked him why, and he said because I decided to take 8 AP tests. 8. I said, Evan, you are insane. And he just smiled that easy smile, and that slow, unhurried drawl said, yeah. And then he just went and did it. When Evan transferred to Roeper after his freshman year, he didn't just join the community, but he immediately started building one. He joined golf and Model UN. He founded the Finance and Entrepreneurship Club. He developed software, worked in real estate, and launched business ventures through his own company. But what makes Evan remarkable is not his accomplishments, it's how he approaches them. Patty called him one of the most mature and kind students she has ever encountered. French teacher Michael said, described him as the ultimate nice guy. Someone who is friendly, sincere, genuinely appreciative of the people around him. And Natalie described him as someone who brings the calm to the storm, nudging a ray of light between boisterous clouds. Kelly has known Evan since he was 6 years old. She remembers him and Rocco running around making monster movies. Years later, she had the unique experience of watching that same child walk into her classroom. She then said that Evan had grown from a sweet, funny 6-year-old into an accomplished graduate who's still sweet and funny. Rocco compares Evan to a Jedi, someone guided by discipline, morality, and selflessness. As Rocco puts it, Evan doesn't demand respect, he simply attracts it. Julian described Evan as a calming presence who motivates everyone around him and generally wants the people in his life to succeed. His friend Josh says that when you ask Evan for his opinion, you know you're getting a straight answer. He also points out Evan's remarkable ability to read a room, and if he sees somebody having a rough day, he can lift the mood without even being asked. While studying for a notoriously difficult pre-calculus unit, him and his friend Jack both got stuck on the same problem. But Evan kept at it, An hour later, Evan calls Jack and says, I figured it out, and then proceeded to teach Jack for an hour how to do it. He has always been relentless enough to solve the problem and generous enough to make sure everybody knows it too. When I asked him what his memories from Roeper would be, he said off his sophomore year's junior trip to Washington, D.C., he talked about his friends. He did not mention 8 AP tests. But beneath all the ambition, talent, and drive is someone who understands what matters most. When I asked him what he's most grateful for, he did not hesitate. Family, friends, and faith. Evan, as you continue your journey in the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan, there is no doubt you will pursue your dreams and make an impact. But the qualities people admire most about you are not your accomplishments. They're your character, your kindness, and the way you treat people. Your friends and family are incredibly proud of you, and so are we all. So congratulations, Evan Richard Pizzulli, class of 2020.
Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing Megan Sims. This young woman standing here to my right has consistently amazed me. Megan entered my Latin 1 class with a warm smile and an alacrity for both knowledge and fellowship, both of which she easily achieved. But Megan is not content with what comes easily. She truly aspires to make a difference. Whether teaching writers with disabilities as an equine therapy aid, being a teacher's assistant in Susan's pre-algebra class, or taking pictures for Michelle, her heart, her zeal, and her leadership will ensure that she will always rise above every obstacle, even when the path seems darkest. Megan already has many outstanding achievements on her curriculum vitae. Megan served on student government, was a member of Model UN, and founded and served as president of the Roeper chapter of March for Our Lives, which focused on the root causes of youth violence. She spent time initiating awareness events, establishing peer outreach, and advocating for mental health. Yearbook teacher Michelle lauded Megan, stating, Megan is a huge part of the yearbook's success this year. Megan threw herself into the creation and execution of this layered publication. Being able to trust that a person will follow through with their commitments is invaluable, and that is Megan. Homeroom teacher Kevin also has noted Megan's virtues, extolling, Megan is a deeply heartfelt and empathetic person who is never afraid to put herself out there. Throughout this year, she consistently helped lead class discussions, encouraging others to participate and making everyone feel included. She approaches challenges with confidence and authenticity, never fearing mistakes. Instead, she embraces them as opportunities to learn and grow. But perhaps most impressively, Megan spent her junior year, spring semester, in the highly prestigious United States PAGE program, a work-study program in which she worked directly on the Senate floor, engaging with senators, delivering legislative business, and helping with chamber operations. She was one of 28 pages nationally. Resilient, persistent, proactive, Megan approaches the world knowing she has already triumphed. When asked how Roeper has affected her, Megan responded, Roeper allowed me to find out what I'm passionate about. It really allowed me to express myself and my interests. I was able to take different classes like Latin and Western political thought, the kind of classes that would prepare me for college. In the fall, Megan will be attending the American University in Washington, D.C., majoring in political science. She will also be participating in the university's Cornerstone program, which allows freshmen the opportunity to intern. No one would be surprised to see her again at Capitol Hill. If everyone would please join me in congratulating Megan Sims, 2026.
Welcome or no trespassing, come and see, and persona. What do these have in common? They are all film recommendations from Griffin that most people have probably never heard of. I know I certainly had not. These films, much like Griffin, tend to be layered, surreal, and dark. Upon first impression, Griffin was the quiet student perched in the hallway window seat reading what seemed like a new book every day. Then, when teaching Griffin in the classroom, he began to come out of his shell to reveal his wry sense of humor, deep intellect, and disdain for happy endings. However, nothing unearthed Griffin's layers more than our discussion surrounding film. Thus, it might be fitting to consider Griffin himself through various film genres. Like comedy, Griffin possesses a quick wit. Last year in creative writing, students received a random partner, genre, form, and audience. Griffin and Rocco were tasked to give an elevator pitch about a horror magazine for preschoolers. Standing in front of the class, they asked what preschoolers are typically lacking, then simultaneously, say it with me, a sense of their own mortality. Proceeded to tell a hilariously dark idea for a children's serial killer magazine. Like adventure, Griffin is unafraid of challenges in uncharted territory. As mentor, Kelly McDowell states, Griffin has single-handedly revived our student film community, and I am forever grateful. There's a wonderful duality to Griffin. He's a kind of serious intellectual who can write sophisticated theoretical critique while retaining an authentic, grounded approachability. I will miss seeing him curled up with a book on a free block near the hallway window. And not just any book, but typically a 19th century existentialist masterwork. One can never say to Griffin, it's not like it's War and Peace, because it probably actually is. Like sci-fi, Griffin possesses a keen, forward-thinking imagination. When his homeroom and AP physics teacher, Andrew Bleckman, surprisingly learned that Griffin was not planning a science-related career path, he asked Griffin why he was so gung-ho about taking AP his senior year. Griffin explained that he found it all fascinating, really enjoyed the material, and could see himself making a documentary about some of the concepts. Andrew appreciated Griffin in a new way after that. Griffin took his class simply for the act of learning and accepting a challenge. Like Thriller, Griffin is aware of the psychological depth of the human condition. All the way from Slovenia, his friend and 2025 Roeper grad, Oscar, writes, Griffin really resonates with sad and off-putting things, and I think it's special because it comes from a place of empathy. Even though he is quiet and introverted, he is not disconnected from the world. He takes the time to notice and understand things that aren't fun or nice to think about. Which isn't to say that he's some sort of tortured artist. He's actually smiley and lighthearted most of the time, even when creating weird, sad art. I think he's got a lot to give the world and is somebody pretty special to know. Therefore, he should be more extroverted. Get out there, strut his stuff, because more people should know him. Also, I stole his shoe once, and that was pretty funny. Griffin, you have made it to the final scene of your time at Roeper and will begin your next project at the University of Michigan in the fall. As the cowboy says in Mulholland Drive, a man's attitude goes some ways, the way his life will be. Congratulations to Roeper graduate, Griffin Zalek.
My name is Adam, and I've had the privilege of knowing Oliver for 3 years of his 4 years here with us at Roeper. I feel really honored that you asked me to speak for you today, and I'm excited to share some thoughts from those who've seen you grow and are so proud to see you on the stage. My experience with you has always been a lot of fun. Particularly this year, you dove into my Star Trek and social justice class at Warp 9.5 and brought your classic, dare I say, Riker-esque, laid-back style and relaxation to our community. I often found that as the afternoons dragged on, I could rely on you to make me laugh or remind me that things don't always need to be so completely serious. And I'm flattered that you counted this class as one of your favorites in your time with us. Beyond the classroom, you've been involved in Roeper sports during your time here. You've played 4 years of basketball, 3 years of soccer, and as you told me, 2 very, very brief days of track. Working with your teammates, you've participated in something bigger than yourself. You've had to rely on others, work out differences, and learn to work together as a community to succeed. Your teammates and friends appreciate your commitment and impact on them, both on and off the court or on the field. In particular, your senior project, which saw you giving back to our community, lays the groundwork for the next generation of Roeper sports. One of the things that you said you'd miss most about Roeper are your friends. I've seen the ease with which you have made lasting connections here, and I know that good friendship can last no matter how far people have gone. I encourage you to keep up with each other and stay in each other's lives, because people appreciate you and how you've made their lives brighter. Dallas, a close friend and associate, said that you, quote, never fail to make her laugh. For instance, like the time you got your friends to recreate a brave scene of a knight slaying a dragon to ask her out to homecoming. In our conversation, Oliver, you told me that there were a few things you wouldn't miss about Roeper. You specifically mentioned that you wouldn't miss the weirder parts of having a small school. And honestly, I get it. But always know that you're pretty weird too. And that we'll always be here for you when you get out into the world, onto your next adventure, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find that you miss even the weird stuff as well. When I asked if there was anyone you'd like to thank for their help getting you where you are today, you said without hesitation, your mom. You told me that you know how hard she worked and what she had to sacrifice to help you become who you are today. You shared that you would do your best to do something meaningful with the opportunities she's given you. As much as you've gotten some support from her, she shared with me that you've supported her too. From all of us who've been there, I hope you keep on cherishing the relationship and the love of a single parent, one of the strongest forces in the entire universe. You also mentioned your grandfather, who I know recently passed, and who supported you through much of your time here at Roeper in countless ways. I hope you can give on love like they've done to you. Given the years you've shared with us, I think you have so much to celebrate today. As you head off to my own alma mater, right here, Oakland University, to study automotive engineering, we certainly can't wait to see what's next for you. Congratulations, and may I present to you Roeper graduate, Oliver Faison.
Instrumental music teacher. It has been my pleasure to have Colin Finnerty in our jazz band for his high school years. Colin is a guitarist, and if you don't know much about the guitar, I highly recommend asking this young man about it. You will soon discover that it is in fact possible for a single human brain to contain more than you ever thought possible on a subject. He doesn't just know how to play them, he knows how they work. He knows how to fix them, how to tweak the pickups and the electronics to ensure that he can pull every last bit of excellence from the wood, metal, and strings. To To say he lives and breathes guitar is absolutely underselling it. But something to know about Colin is that his passion for music actually works like a focusing lens for his creativity. His mother, Amy, shared, "From the moment Colin first picked up a guitar, it was as if a bolt of lightning moved straight through him, a spark that lit up a lifelong passion. But long before music entered his life, Colin was already an artist in every sense of the word. From the time he was 3, he turned absolutely everything into art, whether he was building with Legos, his own concepts, not necessarily following the directions, the right way to do Legos, sketching or shaping sculptures out of whatever materials he could find. His imagination was boundless. Creativity wasn't just something he did, it was the heart of who he was even then." Adding on to that, Roeper English teacher Roz Larson explained that Colin played a pivotal role in first semester creative writing. For his final project, he wrote an epic 3-movement song titled "Colored Moon" with lyrics that guided us through mania, depression, and rage. Combining color theory and metaphor, Colin's writing is as brilliant as his playing. Anyone who has been in our band concert has seen Colin's creativity in action during his improv solos. He doesn't just follow the chord changes, he crafts a melody and a motif throughout. An oft-quoted Shakespeare line says, "This above all else, to thine own self be true." If that line could be packaged into human form, it would be Colin. He knows no other way to operate but as his own authentic self. History teacher Matt Vallis says about Colin, "Too often students and adults go through the motions, follow the norm, produce work that is good but doesn't contain much substance or personality. Absolutely not the case for Colin. I have great admiration for Colin's authenticity and style. This authenticity manifests through his ability to precisely research historical events, his ability to know quality writing when he sees it, and his ability to truly deliver memorable presentations that have the magic of placing the viewer or audience member in the moment of the historical event or theme." Colin knows himself, knows where his passions lie. For this reason, he's chosen to take the road less traveled and not pursue a traditional 4-year degree, but instead will be embarking upon a 2-pronged musical adventure. He'll be writing, composing, and performing whenever and wherever he can, while also attending trade school to become a fully trained luthier. That's the technical term for a guitar technician. I'm looking forward to wherever this excellent adventure takes him. Roeper community, I am pleased to present to you 2026 graduate Colin Finnegan.
I've had the honor of knowing Danny for 3 years as his teacher, homeroom advisor, and an advisor at the Model United Nations Club. Over these years, I've watched Danny grow into himself, contribute immensely to our community, and become the most awarded delegate in my time advising Model United Nations. In respect to your success, in the world of pretending to be a country in a room full of other people pretending to be countries, I've written a resolution, mostly in the style of Model UN, to commemorate some specific aspects of your time with us over the years. A motion to introduce the resolution has been made. This motion requires a second. Danny, raise your hand, Danny. Seeing seconds, this resolution is adopted as a matter of courtesy, and I'll read it to you now. First, we acknowledge Danny's service as our Fighting Tuna mascot this year, a role which he has filled with distinction, attending almost every game, lifting up school spirit, entertaining many regardless of victory or defeat, and filling us all with tuna pride at many events as he carries on one of our most sacred traditions. Second, we note with pride Danny's dedication to and passion for all animal life, captured best by what I've been told by his parents is called the animal room at home, where Danny has cared for over 182 living creatures over the last several years. He has created, maintained, and experimented with over 40 different versions of aquariums and terrariums for his animal friends, which are included but not limited to 3 hamsters, 25 frogs, 11 turtles, 140 fish, a gecko, 2 guinea pigs, 4 bunnies, 2 sugar gliders, and a dog named Lucky. Beyond the home, Danny has brought his passion for animals to Roeper in a variety of ways, from building clubs around animals to educating middle schoolers through live demonstrations and conversations that exemplify how to be in a community of learners with each other. Third, we respect that Danny has faced many challenges during his time with us. In particular, the challenge of living with hearing loss. A challenge that he has faced with increasing wisdom and understanding. Instead of allowing his difference to separate him, he has pushed through those to advocate for himself and for others, to claim his own space with pride and develop empathy, to know what it's like to feel different in ways that allow him to connect and empathize with others and advocate for more than just himself. And in his better moments, he does just that. Fourth, we express our hope that much like George and Anna Marie, our founders, that you remember, Danny, that you are a person from at least 2 worlds, both Spain and America. Over your years at Roeper, you've built a family here too. We hope you know that you and your amazing family belong here as much as anywhere. And that no matter where you go and where the world takes you, you will carry the love, the knowledge, and the traditions of us all with you. With respect to the above, we here assembled declare accordingly that Danny Hernanz-Tello has graduated from the Roeper School with the class of 2026, and we call upon all those assembled to cheer for Danny as he heads to the University of Miami to study marine biology and political science. Having read the resolution, the chair would look favorably upon a motion to adopt this resolution unanimously. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Congratulations, and may I present to you Roeper graduate Danny.
For the true story and depth as to how years spent at the Roeper School shapes a person, one needs to look no further than Max Margolis. He truly exemplifies an ideal arc of student maturation. From athletics to academics to student engagement and self-advocacy, Max truly made the most of his 4 years at the Roeper Upper School. Max evolved as an athlete, running 4 years of track and cross country. Cross country coach Todd Dunfield recalled first meeting Max, sharing, "He was shy and timid. Running was very new to him and it was quite difficult. But he persevered, and 4 years later, Max is confident. Max is a leader. He has become a strong runner. I'm proud of his transformation into the young man he has become." As his homeroom teacher, I can share that Max's growth academically has been profound. What was once a freshman needing structure and reminders daily is now a senior who successfully accomplishes his academic tasks, often going beyond expectations. In his elective course, Environmental Science, Max consistently engaged in discussion, bringing prior knowledge and intense curiosity to the class. I remember the first day of the class when Max shared he had already reviewed the topics page in its entirety before we had even begun. At this, I offered Max access to the College Board AP Environmental course to study the topics in more depth, and he eagerly agreed and used the resource throughout the course. Even though Max sees himself as a STEM guy and fully intends to continue studying science at Kalamazoo College next fall, Max has also made an impact across the curriculum. English teacher Kelly McDowell says, "Max is smart, creative, and hardworking, but the quality that I find most endearing is his sense of humor. He fills the room with a sense of levity that we all need, and I believe he will find many rooms to fill in this way in the future." Max's impact goes beyond the track and the classroom to his friends with peers. Classmate, teammate, and friend JJ shared, "Max always makes jokes and plays around, but he's also a very emotionally deep person. He's a loyal friend, and I'm happy to have been his classmate and running partner for the past 4 years." Friend and teammate Ren shared that some of his favorite memories include connecting with Max on Roblox and waking up for a 5 a.m. run to the Washington Monument at sunrise while on the DC trip. Ren says, I'm going to miss running on a team with him. Max is the best teammate I could ever ask for. At Roeper, when we say, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of this place, Max takes that to heart. He has dramatically improved his self-advocacy. He has gone out of his way to advocate for his peers, and he regularly engages in activities that strengthen what makes Roeper, Roeper. Teacher Matt Vallis shared, I recall at junior-senior dinner, Max being the most involved in helping stay late and help to take care of our space while others went home. He never complains and will simply get the task completed no matter how long it may take. In homeroom, we say the best way to build community is to show up. I can say Max is always someone I can count on to show up. He's often first to share thoughts and feedback as well as being willing to volunteer. He happily engages with our lower school buddies, including volunteering to read to the entire group. I will miss Max's positive energy and genuine kindness in my homeroom. From those that know him best, Mom Amy Margolis shared about Max. He just sees the world in his own way, unapologetically. Max is a bright, unbelievably funny and loyal guy. He has made me a better mom, a better person, and incredibly, endlessly proud. Join in the pride for him, and join me in congratulating Roeper graduate Maxwell Evan Margolis.
Jay Allen, and this is important, is not a bee. She told me herself, as if she felt it necessary to clarify any misunderstanding. At first, I just thought she was being modest. I mean, who would not want to be a bee? Then, I thought about one of my personal favorite bees, the bumblebee. Have you ever seen a bumblebee fly? If you have, you know that this animal violates nearly every law of physics. Aha! JJ told me she was pushed away from architecture in favor of studying aerospace engineering. And suddenly, her dedication to advanced physics made a lot more sense. To JJ's credit, she's clearly not your average run-of-the-mill honeybee. I never thought otherwise. No, the only way to describe JJ is a super bee. Fellow bee expert Ben Fisher was quoted as saying, bees have a strict hierarchy and each individual has their designated and set place. JJ is much more versatile and has proven herself to be remarkably flexible. She has the competence of a worker, the humility of a drone, and the gravitas of a queen. Like many bees, JJ often puts the success of the hive in front of success of herself. Whether it's helping a fallen runner at a cross-country meet at the expense of her own time, being a supportive role model and a mentor to her younger colleagues in homeroom or on the forensics team, or helping her many friends getting through their physics homework, JJ has shown a selfless need to put her friends and family first. Like any good bee, she lives to provide for the hive. But perhaps JJ was right, and my focus on her beeisms ignore many other aspects of her nature. In fact, JJ's friends and family have told me outright that her most beloved hero is not a bee at all, but the energetic, enthusiastic, and eccentric character called Pinkie Pie from my whose talent for baking, party planning, and bringing joy to others is renowned. She works as a baker and, according to Wikipedia, what do I know, is known for her seemingly random behavior, fourth wall breaks, pinky sense clairvoyance, and a tendency to burst into song. We teachers often focus on the bee nature of JJ, but her friends do take a very different view. Daniel Shapiro talks about how hardworking she is and what a great job she does at making people laugh. Mira Gable says that JJ is the first person to crack a joke and bring good spirits to someone feeling down. She makes me laugh talking about weird rounding rules or delta plus plus particles. But she can shift quickly from joking around and being absolutely hilarious to helping out a friend with a serious issue. JJ cares so much about the people around her, close friends or not, and will work her hardest to be an amazing friend to them all. She's someone that I can always talk to about whatever is bothering me, and I know she'll listen and understand. Her very close friend, Ashlyn Brewer, says, JJ is the funniest, most understanding and kindest person I've ever met. From her ability to light up a room or to make people laugh in an instant, To her constantly checking up on every member of our friend group, JJ brings positive energy everywhere she goes. I'll never forget how I introduced her to baking classes while she introduced me to her wingdings. JJ has a passion for collecting and buying all types of earmuffs. She loves crocheting just about anything or everything. And of course, she loves her pets and has awesome birthday parties. A true Pinkie Pie, if ever there was one. JJ will be leaving Michigan, where they know something about snow, to Rochester, New York, where they know almost nothing else. Where she'll be attending the Rochester Institute of Technology, studying mechanical engineering with a slant towards aerospace. She says that her dream job might be working at NASA to help run their satellite program. But I suspect, true to her Pinkie Pie nature, she will be working incognito to help her true friends, those bumblebees, to get those flying kinks worked out. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Roeper graduate J. Annalyn Newsom.
So I'm reading this speech on behalf of Megan, who couldn't be here today, but who was really honored that Reed asked them to write. Reed Asecki, like many of us, is full of contradictions. These contradictions have made Reed extremely interesting and rewarding to teach these last 2 years. Teaching him has been a wonderful combination of gratifying, exhausting, amusing, and thought-provoking. Some people can be frustrated by contradictions, but I have found that Reed leans into his contradictions and even the misunderstandings that have resulted from them, as they are fundamental to who he has become as a person. As a big fan of Reed and the teacher he chose to give the speech, I feel like I should use this opportunity to go over some of my favorite contradictions that make Reed Reed. Starting off strong. He's the son of a pilot, yet had to overcome a fear of flying. He went from not even being able to fly as a passenger with his family on trips to eventually co-piloting a Cessna. That bravery and determination it takes to do that is not something that many of us have at his age. Next, he has a reputation as a class clown, but he is also an intensely curious mind that craves knowledge. He's somehow both wise beyond his years and one of the silliest guys I've ever taught. He's the type of student to, all in one class, make you fall out of your chair laughing and then immediately ask a fantastic question you need to deep dive into research in order to give him an answer that he will find satisfactory. Third, he has a precise sense of right and wrong and a strong sense of justice. But he's also the first person to argue a point that he doesn't agree with. Not for the sake of argument, but mostly to learn more through the process. This is likely the contradiction that gets him into the most trouble, but those who know him best know that he's genuinely deeply curious and dedicated to knowing everything before fully forming an opinion. He also knows himself much more than your average 18-year-old, so he's not bothered much by how others perceive him in his search for knowledge. Next, he's deeply concerned with the world around him, hence the planned political science major. But he often uses humor when discussing the serious topics that interest him. If you know, you know. You know that? I don't know what that is, but you know. This leads perfectly to my final point. He has really high expectations of himself, but his goals aren't always what you expect. A short list of roles Reed has mentioned that he would be interested in taking on. 1, the Pope. 2, the Supreme Leader of Iran. And 3, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. Obviously, there are some qualifications and prerequisites that he doesn't quite have just yet. But knowing Reed, he'll probably find a way to figure out how to do it. I truly believe Reed can make anything happen if he sets his mind to it, just maybe not replacing Xi Jinping. When I asked his friends and family for input on his speech, they all agreed on the following. He's honest. He's hilarious. He's occasionally frustrating. He's thoughtful. He's brash. He's loyal. He's passionate. And he's brilliant. I don't think we can ask for much more from a Roeper graduate. Congratulations, and may I present to you, Reed.
is also interested in becoming a detective or a crime scene investigator. Hadley is deeply interested in people, motivated by fairness, and skilled at seeing situations from multiple perspectives. At Roeper, Hadley has played soccer every year since 9th grade and found a true passion in Model UN, which she joined in 10th grade and has become one of the most defining experiences of her time at Roeper. Hadley's teachers and friends consistently speak of her courage, independence, willingness to embrace new experiences. Matt Ballas, for example, recalls watching Hadley confidently scale a 40-foot rock wall while others hesitated below. Within minutes, she was sitting at the top calling down, "Hey, take a picture!" One of the professional climbers there remarked simply, "Sweet." After instantly rappelling down back to the surface, Hadley then confessed that she had taken rock climbing classes for the last 5 years. Little known secret. Matt also shared that Hadley probably has the most amazing taste in music. Tons of variety from classic rock to metal to more modern music. He also noted Hadley's love of Coca-Colas. Whether it is in a small mountain town in Pennsylvania or some far-off Model UN conference, Hadley will always find a way to hunt down several Cokes. Her friend Noelle shared that in Hadley, she has found a lifelong friend. This friendship was forged last soccer season under Coach Tyler. Noelle also laughs remembering Hadley showing up to a practice with powdered donuts and a Coke, a combination Hadley identifies as dinner. In Ben Fisher's homeroom, they play a series of games known as Ben's Games That Don't Suck. One game required them to figure out a pattern. Noelle remembers Hadley working independently to solve the pattern. Then Hadley really took charge of the game, helping everyone to remember how to continue that pattern. Noelle describes Hadley as compassionate, always able to speak up for herself, and fiercely supportive of others. She will miss Hadley's leadership, soccer wisdom, and her remarkable consumption of way too many Cokes and Pepsis to ever possibly count. Michael McConville highlights Hadley's maturity, self-awareness, and ability to remain thoughtful and composed even in difficult discussions. Whether debating politics, economics, or questions of fairness, Hadley has a remarkable ability to see multiple sides of an issue while staying true to her values, which are very clear: honesty, communication, fairness, respect, family, friendship, and kindness. When asked who she most admires, Hadley immediately cites her mother, Emily, because she is, as Hadley says, a very hard worker and does a lot of work behind the scenes. I also have it on very good authority that Hadley and Emily have seen Joan Jett several times together. Hadley credits her mom with raising her well. It's always nice to get feedback like that from your children. Hadley's favorite Roeper memory was helping her class win Spirit Week this year, a fitting memory for someone whose enthusiasm and energy have made such an impact positively on this community. Her friend Mira describes her as someone who is always willing to explore, to try something new, and support those around her. She admires Hadley's cleverness, generosity, and determination to pursue her dream of working in forensic investigation. Alongside her other close friends, Hadley has helped make Roeper a place of friendship, laughter, and belonging. Hadley, your curiosity, courage, compassion, and adventurous spirit will serve you well wherever life takes you. I'm excited to hear about your next chapter at Michigan State and the people you will help and the impact you will certainly make. Congratulations, Hadley.
Almost exactly 3 years ago this week, a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed freshman girl came to me at Kensington. "Hi, Andrew. I'm going to take physics next year, and I can't wait. Why does it have to be summer?" Since then, I've had a chance to have Aria in my class every year, and she has been amazing. Empathetic to the extreme and often at her own expense, I received many words from teachers, family, and friends, all focusing on her amazing, selfless attitude and her willingness to do whatever is needed for others. Whether it is serving as the class vice president, co-captaining the varsity volleyball team, or working through a challenging class, she is an amazing student and a group leader. She's also an advocate for student mental health support and has been very proactive in getting help for her friends and colleagues, both in and out of class. Chemistry teacher and volleyball coach Barb Webb says Aria is both mentally and physically tough. While taking on a challenge docket of course offerings, she has played varsity volleyball as a middle hitter who is also determined to play her own position 6 defense, even as she faced consistent pain from a recurring knee injury. Aria sets the highest standards for herself, and in a word, her ability to reach those self-imposed standards, effective. English and homeroom teacher Kelly McDowell says that Aria wants more out of her education. She desires true knowledge. She enjoys the whole process every step of the way toward growth and learning. She is the kind of student and peer who's always ready to be called into action in support of others. She is, quite simply, one of the most caring individuals I know. From Aria's friends, the stories come fast and thick about how she has helped them both academically and through her emotional support. Dallas Tolbert tells how Aria is an incredibly kind and considerate person. She's easy to talk to and laugh with, and is generally uplifting and understanding. I love her deeply. Tatiana Williford recalls how her friendship with Aria goes back to 8th grade. Aria is one of the most selfless people I've ever met, always willing to help someone in need, whether that be a middle schooler who got lost on the way to class, or a best friend struggling on a project. She is able to pay attention to very close details about people, nature, or art, and she can often tell you the emotion you are feeling before you can realize it yourself. Fellow class officer and volleyball captain Mira Gable talks about the afternoon of death during their sophomore year. This consisted of a 3-hour period of physics, AP, bio, and calculus back to back to back. Aria would always check in to make sure I wasn't too overwhelmed and remind me not to put too much pressure on myself. She, Mira continues, was always the first person to go and help new volleyball players learn the fundamentals of passing or serving, even when it cut into her own reps and similar drills. She frequently offered to teach the JV team new drills and skills and continued to reach out to plan team bonding activities for everyone. I heard many stories from family members, but Mom said something very telling about Aria's empathetic nature. Since a young age, she has been champion for anyone or anything smaller, weaker, different, or bullied, no matter how difficult or challenging the situation was. She holds everyone around her to that same standard of commitment towards maintaining equity and fairness, thus holding herself to a very high bar, which makes her an incredibly loyal and dependable friend. Aria will be going down the road to Ann Arbor, where she plans to do a double major in, ready for this, biopsychology, cognition and neuroscience, and sociology of health and medicine. Presumably, in her free time, she plans to breathe. But only if there's nobody in immediate need of a supporting friend. People of Roeper, our great graduate, Aria Agarwal.
When little baby Jaden came home from the hospital, the family dog Macaroni climbed into her car seat and stayed by her side for 14 years. From there came rescued worms, frogs, lightning bugs, a hamster that had a whole funeral complete with the eulogy, and 2 pet rats that may or may not have been borrowed from summer camp. I first met Jaden in geometry class, where I learned very quickly that if I ever lost an assignment or forgot where I put something, she had a system for fixing it. By the time she became my teaching assistant, I wondered whether I was actually teaching the class or just benefiting from her organizational skills. So over the years, I learned something else. If there was ever a quiet moment in class, Jaden would use it to try to convince me to adopt a cat. I was able to resist. Jaden has been a student, an athlete, a leader, volunteer, an entrepreneur, a photographer, an advocate. This fall, she's heading down to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Well, she plans to study psychology and business through the Keenan Flagler Business School. But accomplishments don't tell you about Jaden. It's what she cares about. She cares about learning. She always tackles difficult problems independently, and when she does ask a question, it's always for the benefit of everyone else. She cares about leadership. She played volleyball for 4 years and served as captain for 3. She co-led Spirit Week, organized service project, and served as secretary to the Jewish Student Union. And she cares about making a difference. After 7 years volunteering at the Ferndale Cat Shelter and Cat Cafe, Jaden has fostered more than 70 cats. 7-0. Her friend Olivia said every time they talked, it seemed like there was another foster animal. When Jaden sees a need, she doesn't wait for somebody to do anything about it. She steps in. Her friend Abby learned this firsthand when Jaden once had to cancel plans because there were several kittens that needed her to survive. She made sure the kittens were safe, and then she made sure her friend wasn't forgotten. The people who knew her best described always the same person. Abby called her loyal and dependable. Sophie described her as the most supportive person ever. Olivia, who moved 350 miles away, said Jaden never stopped calling and texting just to check in, even when life was busy. One of Jaden's favorite memories was reading Olivia's speech after Spooky Volleyball that she spent 2 years to write. And Phoebe, who met Jaden on the first day of 6th grade, they were both sporting short haircuts, was immediately convinced that Jaden was the coolest person she ever met. And more than 7 years later, she still thinks the same. Kind, supportive, reliable, thoughtful, caring. These qualities don't appear on transcripts, but they are qualities that people remember. When I asked Jaden, where do you see yourself in 10 years? You weren't sure, but you were excited to find out. You mentioned owning a business, doing humanitarian work, possibly becoming a criminal profiler. UNC is getting an outstanding student, a future leader, and someone who will immediately know how to fix whatever isn't working. I cannot wait to see where this life takes you next. And although I should probably prepare myself for that text someday that simply says, Kevin, this cat reminds me of you. So congratulations, Jaden Bryn Hertzberg. All right, Jaden Bryn Hertzberg, graduate class of 2026.
Wow, she really talks fast. Did she even take a breath? How did she manage to tell you about so many different topics, ask you a dozen questions, and end with a story about her dog, Louie? Your mind is racing. You've never felt such a rush. For Vivi, time is not just a construct. It simply is not real. How else can you explain this phenom getting more done in one day than most of us could in a year? The physics homework, sure. She'll do that right after her figure skating show. Planning an all-buddy homeroom activity? No problem, just after karate lessons. Epically curious and enthusiastic about learning, she flings herself wholeheartedly into as many pursuits as possible. In the classroom, her pure love of learning and trying something new really shines. Barb Lasecki-Webb admires Vivi's persistence and loves seeing her face light up when she finally grasps a tough topic. Vivi's joy spreads exponentially when she's able to connect topics in her interdisciplinary fashion. Her senior project was the perfect combination of her love for chemistry, her artistic prowess, and her desire to share her knowledge. A project teaching a science unit to lower school students using 3D models and beautifully designed posters. Despite her whimsical and charming personality, Vivi is a workhorse and really knows how to get stuff done. After years of trying so many things, Vivi has faced failure and doesn't back down. Her can-do attitude and positive disposition have earned her leadership roles across the board. In student government, she's been the drive behind Earth Day rallies and all school activities. She's been a mentor on the cross-country team thanks to her dedication and encouragement of others. She's an important contributor to the school's literary magazine, The Muse, contributing work as well as selecting submissions to publish. She's president of SAGE, our club for sexuality and gender equality, and plans an annual Pride picnic. And then, just when you're getting used to her breakneck pace, breath away, like whipping out her guitar to play a rendition of Landslide at our holiday assembly. Despite her incredible amount of talent and passion, Vivi is never solely focused on her own betterment. Everything she does is to include and inspire other people. She reminds us of our shared humanity while also showing us that we could achieve more. Megan Lewis explains, it is for sincerity and empathy that are among her greatest strengths. Rebecca Moharis admires Vivi, saying, she makes people feel welcome everywhere. And Lila Must sheds light on how this is possible. Vivi is energetic and enthusiastic in a way that is ineffably contagious. Her authenticity makes her a magnetic person whom you just want to be around. It is so true. In everything she does, Vivi generously and fearlessly shares herself and celebrates her fellow students' identities and depths. You have just had a conversation with Vivi Westenberg. Have you just met your new best friend? You feel energized and motivated to try something new today. You see the world through rose-colored glasses. Next year, Vivi will study chemistry at Colby College, although I have a feeling more than one minor will be tacked onto that degree. I truly cannot wait to see what she tries next. I am delighted to present to you Roeper graduate Vivia Kathleen Westenberg.
Elon came to Roeper as a young serf, seeking new adventures and a village to call his own. As a middle schooler, Elon regularly misplaced many items, like daily. So he worked out a deal, his own bin in the science room to keep his items. This vassalage offered him a new lease on organization. Elon's early conquests began with robotics and the solving of daily geometry riddles. His sales of donuts ingratiated him with his fellow classmates. Of course, the first sample was free. He continued to grow a following as he ventured into the world of 3D printing, capitalizing on the demand for printed fidgets, and launched a highly successful trade. Articulated dragons, cones, puzzles, you name it, he made it. He also gave tidings to his community, donating fidgets to the scholarship auction and toys for the college counseling office. His notoriety grew with his 3D design of a life-size Iron Man helmet and vast knowledge of printers. He became the go-to person for any questions on filament types, print settings, and which printers to buy. I am firmly on Team Bamboo now, thanks to Elon. As a high schooler, Elon came almost every day to mentor the middle school robotics team. His love of strategy and building techniques so impressed the middle schoolers that they gave him the title Lord Elon. As a term of genuine appreciation and affection, Lord Elon's fealty to his loyal subjects was evident in his over 600 hours of service. Elon's domain expanded from a small bin to a place at the big table in the makerspace. He collected his knight's fee and claimed his new fiefdom. Elon's robotics building skills came from a love of Legos, which began before he was born. Truly, his dad bought him a Lego kit while his mom was still pregnant with him. Elon is also a highly skilled table tennis player. Do not call it ping pong. He demonstrated his abilities in contests of skill and stamina and expanded into the world of pickleball last year. I saw this at Pickle Rage when he took time to include me in a few matches. His conquest went beyond the land of Roeper and into the world of Minecraft. He is most proud of his use of update suppression. He'll have to explain that one. On the Roeper Robotics team, he was our lead driver, assistant captain, and helped to take us to the semifinals at Oprah for the first time in 17 years. Elon also joined the FRC team, the Killer Bees, this year. Even though he was new to the colony, Mary Rose and Captain and Queen Bee told me he helped so much on the team this year, not just with the robot, but also as a person. He even earned the title Pit Boss. It appears the bees are still buzzing about him. He did all this while continuing to mentor younger students and competing at RoboFest Worlds. Kevin said, "What I admire most about Elon is his balance of intellect and character. He approaches challenges calmly, welcomes feedback, and shows genuine respect for others' perspectives." Kelly calls Elon a true individual, and said that he is authentically himself and comfortable in his own skin. Patty said he worked so hard to be admitted to the University of Michigan College of Engineering. His journey is one of the most impressive I've seen in 40 years of counseling. Elon, as you venture out and continue to expand your titles and territories to the big house, I will soon present you with a crest to celebrate your journey and pay homage to all you have given this community. Created with fondness by me and your men-at-arms on the robotics team. From donuts to robots, we recognize your big heart and chivalrous and benevolent leadership. Go forth, graduate Elon, and continue to take the world by storm.
There is only one word that properly describes this student standing here: superhero. After all, they were destined from greatness and glory from the moment of their birth. As they say in their own interview, "Justice is my middle name." The irony is definitely not lost on anyone. Who better to identify irony than English teacher Kelly McDowell, who said, "Justice possesses a deep sense of fairness, ethics, and humanity. They offer this equally, without fear or favor, to everyone they meet. It is this foundational set of qualities from which others arise. And if we are to carry them forward the metaphor, in Justice's case, the scales are perfectly balanced between the intellectual and the creative. If anything were to tip the scales a bit, I think it would be Justice's truly individual style. Justice's style is ever present in papers, conversations, and their collection of amazing blazers, ties, and pocket watches. Justice lives up to their name when faced with many challenges. Many people talk to me about how, possibly on a lark, they decided to try their hand at working tech in the company performance of Head Over Heels. They had no experience, no understanding, but that's not a problem. They can work as the assistant sound engineer. Then, of course, when you know it, 2 days before opening night, the real sound engineer took ill. What was the performance doomed? This can only be a job a superhero can fix. Unfortunately, Superman and Wonder Woman were booked for a previous engagement. We had to look elsewhere. But fate was kind to Roeper. We happened to have our own superhero on staff. Justice stepped in, and despite a complete lack of experience, managed to make it happen. Talk about being thrown on my feet, they told me. But although it was a harrowing experience, it was a first glimpse into a new and unexpectedly exciting opportunity: the world of the theater. Since then, Justice has performed in all the musicals and helped in several of the plays, and now they wish to pursue the hobby further, maybe moving away from musicals, doing straight drama. They've never done it before, so it must be fun and exciting. And that is also what describes Justice. Never done it before? No experience? Leave it to me. They love being thrown into the thick of it. Whether it's forcing a gain of confidence in the small choir, or taking on the mantle of fearless leader in the physics club, or convincing my homeroom that when all is said and done, the only question that everyone's mind every day needs to be, what kind of fruit did Justice eat today? Justice does not shy away from challenge. But it's not just academic challenges that drive Justice. Here's a superhero that holds one of the most powerful weapons against evil: the power of empathy. Justice has a marked ability to see through shyness and awkwardness and touch the person beneath to great effect. Tub Murphy talked about how he chose to come to Roeper based on no small part on his shadowing Justice and joining his friend group and feeling seen for the first time. Broji Amaral tells how Justice had always been a prime example of absolute kindness in a human being. Never before, he said, have I met someone who is more outwardly inclusive, intentional with listening, or more willing to help a friend in need. When I was new at Roeper, Broji continues, I told Justice that I often don't get invited to outings or gatherings with friends. But to my surprise, Justice immediately fought to get me an invitation to our group's Halloween party, the first of many get-togethers, and one that I am eternally grateful I got to be a part of. Despite Justice's never-be-beaten attitude, it has not been a very easy senior year. Various challenges have forced him to make some difficult decisions. Justice even told me that one of the reasons they want to pursue a study in physics and math at the College of the Holy Cross next year is that they feel that they missed out on not learning more while they were here and want to see how far they can get with it. Ultimately, they plan to study meteorology, where they can come up with better ways to predict the weather and understand exactly what's going on with all of these storms of one kind or another. I am pleased and honored that you are driven to learn despite your challenges and setbacks, and I and everyone knows that you will figure out a way. After all, you are a superhero. I present Roeper superhero, Justice Roeper.
Dorian Hunger, who goes by Dash, has consistently astonished his teachers with his intellect and the enormity of his curiosity. Initially a little shy and soft-spoken, it's not long before Dash finds a connection with anyone. He becomes curious with virtually any topic and soon embarks upon his own odyssey of understanding. In fact, at the beginning of this school year, I was surprised to discover that Dash had found a passionate interest in blacksmithing. He is one that will always surprise and amaze. While those closest to Dash would undoubtedly remark upon his impressive intellect, his friends also appreciate his humor, his kind-heartedness, and his generosity. There is not 1 ounce of nastiness in his soul, and it is obvious that he was cultivated by love and compassion, a trait which he bestows upon everyone. Dash approaches life with a free spirit. He is a person who defines himself not by social mores, but by his own definition of decency and honor. English teacher Kelly stated, "I admire Dash's ability to be himself. He forges his own path in his studies and his life. And he approaches the world with a big open mind." What will Dash do in the fall? It's a mystery, and it's as elusive as the due dates of his assignments. One thing that I am sure of is that if he is passionate about it, he will execute it brilliantly and continue on his life's journey as a happy man. Everyone, please help me in congratulating Dorian Dash Hunger, 2026 Roeper graduate.
It is my great pleasure to present Leaf Jack Axelaris. Leaf was the very first student I met and truly got to know here at Roeper. Nearly a year ago, when I was a candidate for head of school, Leaf was eager to engage with me, not to talk about himself, but to talk about Roeper. He expressed concern that students felt disconnected from the administration and worried that their voices were not being heard. He came armed with the results of a student survey and a clear commitment to finding solutions. I listened and I made him a promise. I said, if I become head of school, I will get in touch and we will meet before the start of the school year. So as it turns out, I did get the job. That worked out nicely. And meeting with Leaf was in fact the very first meeting that I scheduled. When we met last August, Leaf had just returned from a 4-week wilderness expedition in Alaska. He explained quite casually that he had everything he needed in his backpack and that other supplies, things like food, were airdropped from a plane once a week. To be clear, this is an adventure that holds absolutely no appeal for me. But for Leaf, it is exactly the kind of challenge and love of the natural world that he embraces. That meeting with Leaf taught me 2 things about him. First, he is deeply adventurous. And second, he cares profoundly about this community. Out of that conversation came a commitment that I would meet monthly with the student student government officers. So throughout the year, the officers, including recent graduates Vivian Elon and Emmy, and I met regularly. We discussed student concerns, school initiatives, and ways to strengthen communication and trust. But Leaf wasn't satisfied with creating something temporary. Through his senior project and his advocacy with both me and Kevin Carlson, the chair of the board, he worked to ensure that these meetings would continue long after he graduates. Because of Leaf's leadership, future heads of school and future student government officers will continue this dialogue for years to come. That's a meaningful legacy, and it is quintessentially Roeper. Leaf understands that Roeper works best when every voice matters. Throughout high school, Leaf has been a leader in many ways. He's participated in soccer, basketball, track, and student government. He served as captain in varsity soccer and basketball, and moderator of student government in his junior and senior years. His leadership style is perhaps described best by those who know him. Michael McConville calls him a born leader, approachable, patient, thoughtful, and calm. She notes that while Leaf is unfailingly kind, he is never afraid to challenge injustice or advocate for what he believes is right. Most importantly, she says, he thinks about the long game. He is always encouraging younger students to step into leadership roles and to help others succeed. Emmy Richardson describes Leaf as someone who never seeks attention but always shows up for others. She shared a wonderful story about watching Leaf coach younger students during sports mentoring. The children were thrilled to learn from him, and Leaf patiently guided every drill, making sure everyone felt included and supported. As Emmy admitted, she, as his partner for that day, may have needed more coaching than the students did. But Leaf never judged, never criticized, and simply helped everyone improve. That combination of excellence and humility seems to follow Leaf everywhere. His friend Will recalls how Leaf helped break Roeper's 4x800 meter relay record. Having never run this race before, Leaf stepped into the event because the team needed him. When the moment arrived, he dropped 5 seconds from his previous best time and helped secure a school record and all county honors. We'll share that Leaf's sacrifice of running an event he had never run in before, combined with his competitiveness and determination, are the reasons the entire team succeeded. That story says a great deal about Leaf. When his team needed him, he stepped forward. When something seemed difficult, he worked harder. And when success came, he shared it with others. And then there is perhaps my favorite observation offered by his friend Cal, who simply said that Leaf greets everyone with the most wholesome smile. And that may sound like a small thing, but it isn't. That genuine smile reflects the type of person Leaf is and the impact he has on those around him. Leaf's favorite Roeper memory involves sports and friendships, winning MIAC championships, defeating a state powerhouse in a dramatic penalty shootout, and even playing miniature golf around the school with friends. What these memories have in common is not competition, it's connection. When asked what he values most, Leaf's answer is friendship and time with friends and family. He says that without those relationships, the hard work of school, career, achievement, they're all meaningless. That perspective speaks volumes about his character. This fall, Leaf will attend the University of Michigan, where he plans to study engineering. He hopes to travel widely, continue exploring the world, and build a career where he can see the impact of his work. Knowing Leaf, I have no doubt that he will do just that. Leaf, it has been both my joy and my education to know you this year. You helped teach me what makes Roeper special. You remind me of the importance of listening to students, and through your leadership, you have strengthened this community for those who will follow. I wish you every success at Michigan and beyond. My only request is that you stay in touch and visit often, and something tells me you will do just that. Congratulations, Leaf.
For Amelia, it has always been about community. Amelia Jen Shepard said that her social studies teachers, including him, will be lucky to have her in their future classes. In yearbook, Amelia was business manager for 3 years and editor and business manager this year. From the beginning, Amelia was the student I always depended on to do everything. Amelia has an uncanny skill to bring to light important information and problems that no one else sees. Amelia is crystal clear about what is important in her life. Her family, yes, even Samuel, K-pop, dance, early childhood education, yearbook, and her cousin Amara. Amelia's mother told me that Amara is Amelia's absolute pride and joy. If you have spent any time with Amelia in the last 2 years, you know this. Amelia explained it this way. From childhood, she had a wonderful relationship with her aunt. And to be that person for Amara was more than the torch being passed to her. It was visceral and intrinsic to everything Amelia values. Well, it all started. Thank you. Well, it all started with a boy band crush. Doesn't it always? However, the unintended consequences of Amelia's love of Felix, Stray Kids, and K-pop in general is the community of people that Amelia now has a kinship with. It has changed her life, given Amelia the confidence to go to her first concert, knowing that she was surrounded by people that, if needed, would have her back. I had to ask myself, is this the same student who radiated pure joy when she wore her Not a Hugger t-shirt to school? If the past is prologue, then Amelia's 8th grade robotics evaluation said it all. Amelia wrote, "Building a robot requires perseverance to get the end result you want." Well, bravo, Amelia, mission accomplished. This fall, Amelia will be a member of a new community at Michigan State University. I hope they know how lucky they are to have you. It is my profound pleasure to present to you Roeper graduate Amelia Gwen Wargel-Fringer.
Roeper has been an engineer since he was 2.5 years old. That's when he wanted to know how God put him together, specifically what kind of glue was used, and could it withstand humidity from sweat and showers. At 4, he spent a significant time, portion of the year, deeply troubled by the reclassification of Pluto. And at 7, when he learned about Mars, he wanted to make sure he could design a ship that would bring everybody back home as well. So he designed a detailed rocket to do that. I first met Neil in 8th grade geometry. He was always busy thinking and questioning and wanting to lend a hand. He created Kahoot reviews for the class. And he also pushed the limits of instruction. For the project to create bridges out of popsicles, Neil first made an aluminum frame and decided to put popsicle sticks around it. But over the years, Neil's creativity and willingness to help remained a constant. From calculus to homeroom to teaching assistant, Neil was always there when I needed him. When I had knee surgery this past year for 2 weeks, Neil taught my calculus class. He handled everything, which made me feel really comfortable with my recovery, and slightly worried that they would like him better. But the willingness to step up has always been a part of who he is. His chemistry teacher, Bart, described him as someone who challenges the way things are done while offering genuine alternatives for improvement. So whether it was Model UN, forensic student government, or robotics, the desire to help extended way beyond his classes. His friend Brogy met Neil in 8th grade, when Brogy was new to Roeper. Neil connected him to a robotics coach and gave him the confidence to join a new club in a new school. Brogy said Neil's high standard of achievement, relentless work ethic, and sheer problem-solving capability becomes infectious. Neil was in a robotics competition when one of his opponent's robots broke down. True to his character, Neil walked over and helped him fix it. And then he lost the match to that robot that he just fixed. But as Neil's mother points out, that day, he was a winner. Elon shared that Neil is incredibly dedicated. He stayed with his IA Central Robotics team even at first, when the team wasn't giving him the recognition he deserved. Neil always stays committed when he has a vision in mind. Things like rules, material monetary constraints, and time commitments are just variables to work out. After practice, he would call out, "Good work today," as people headed out. On a trip to Dairy Mart, he would cover a friend's ice cream if they didn't have any money. These are the small, steady kindnesses that tell you a lot about Neil. When I asked Neil where he would see himself in 10 years, his answer was honest and a bit understated. He said that hopefully he will be doing an engineering job somewhere. But I see the 2.5-year-old who needed to understand how things hold together, the 7-year-old who would not leave people behind, the high schooler with critical thinking and relentless passion. That person is in there, and he is going to build something worth watching. Neil, you have made the people around you better, classmates, teammates, teachers. You're heading off to the University of Michigan, where I know you will do great things. And never stop asking the questions that matter, like what holds things together, and how can I make sure that nobody gets left behind. Congratulations, Neil, Valeja, Grover, class of 2026.
I want to be an animal. I'm just going to leave it. I want to be an animal doctor. Jenna did not know the word vet when she first told people what she wanted to be when she grew up. 65% of vets choose veterinary medicine before they turn 13. Jenna Campbell was one of those people. Volunteering at the zoo, attending both zoo and horse camps, Jenna's love of and commitment to animals has never wavered. Jenna set out to make that goal a reality by taking the right classes, building a transcript that would ensure a spot at a university that would further her dream. However, Jenna's 10th grade year tested her resolve. Jenna had to spend considerable time out of school and had to make tough academic decisions. Committed to taking the sequence of science classes at Roeper, necessary to stay on track for vet school, the notion that she simply missed too much chemistry was a bitter pill to swallow. Undeterred, Jenna took chem the following year and gained the respect of Barb, who was impressed by how Jenna faced challenging material and challenging situations. In fact, Jenna garnered respect from all of her teachers by the way she handled her time away from school. A painfully shy child, Jenna wanted a smaller school. There was a list. Roeper was the school Jenna finished first, and the search ended there. Jenna's instincts that Roeper was the school for her were solid. At Roeper, Jenna was able to push herself academically, to learn how to study, and to be both independent and comfortable asking for help. Jenna rarely, if ever, complained about her medical issues, choosing to focus on the valuable lessons of communication and self-advocacy that came from this difficult time. Math teacher Kevin Kildea said Jenna is amazing, a hard worker, helpful to those around her. Kelly McDowell said that Jenna is a generous classmate and a good listener. Ben Fisher spoke of Jenna's form of quiet, focused leadership. Matt Ballas, impressed by Jenna's reaction when observing court proceedings, noted that her overwhelming thought was the importance of empathy. Michael told me that Jenna is a terrific partner during frank conversations. English teacher Rebecca Nelson said it best when she wrote that Jenna's approach to her work was to aim for the enjoyment of the process. Jenna will tell you that at Roeper she found her voice, honed her opinions and values, but most importantly found her friends. Amelia told me that the
Writing a speech for Megan is a challenge because she tends to leave everyone speechless. Usually this is not a good sign. However, in this instance, it is very hard to put into words what someone means to you when they make you feel like family. Countless friends and teachers cherish Megan's appropriately timed generosity. Friend Ren Yamamoto says, Megan always dispenses the good kind of sensitive. She always wants to know if you are doing okay and always picks you up if you are not having the best days. Michael McConville elaborates, Megan is an emotional barometer of sorts, and she can always tell when people are stressed or overwhelmed. She reliably checks in on people and makes sure that they have someone they can count on when they're feeling blue. Megan thoughtfully remembers details about everyone's loves, dislikes, families, goals, and more. She routinely strikes up conversations with the people, asking about all the things that matter most to each individual. She's genuinely interested in people, and she's a remarkably dedicated friend who makes everyone feel special and cared for. Kelly McDowell cherishes Megan's rare authenticity. Beginning as a bright and friendly hello in the hallways as a middle school student, Kelly couldn't know that Megan would go on to become a most endeared person in her life. She shared, through the years, we have shared more intellectual dissections of film genres, more pop culture trivia, more heartfelt talks, and more unabashed laughs than I can count. Michael went on to say that at Roeper we talk a lot about community, and there is really no one who demonstrates what community means more than Megan. She is the force that binds all of her friends and teachers. She is a connector. Megan has served on various committees to plan events and dances for her peers. She always volunteers to help with any task and is willing to perform any role needed and takes a lot of jobs that other people aren't willing to do out of the kindness of her heart. She's also been an avid member of the Film Club and Film Fest, which has turned out to be one of her biggest passions. Despite her loving, joyful nature, Ren thinks she will be a critically acclaimed writer-director of horror movies. After all, she is a Halloween enthusiast and absolutely cracks us up with her costumes. One year she dressed as me, and when she walks through the Halloween parade, Michael announced, "This is the handsomest Matt Vallis has ever looked," which really got a good laugh. Another year she wore matching Garfield costumes with Kevin, which everyone loved. For me, your compassion has always brightened my day, and it has been amazing witnessing you find your voice, particularly through your writing, which is authentic, filled with feeling, originality, and impact, especially when tackling the most complex and challenging content or topics. Megan would like to thank her family, Mom Carol and Dad Paul, along with her Roeper family, teachers, and friends for their support and encouragement. Megan emphasizes, "You were there for me during the toughest moments and all along the way." In the fall, Megan will attend Kalamazoo College, pursuing film, television, screenwriting. Megan, know that because of who you are, you will create family like you did here, wherever life takes you. Kelly puts it best. As hard as it is to see her go, I am thrilled for her future. And I know that she will leave a trail of light behind her as she sets off to brighten the world beyond Roeper. I present to you Roeper graduate, Megan Ann Lewis.
Friends, let me tell you a thing or two about the low-key awesomeness that is Luke Rogers. Luke is an exceptionally skilled and creative young man. He is a fine performer as an actor and a musician. He's a songwriter and arranger, a recording artist, and talented with technology. He has taught himself to play several instruments, including bass, guitar, and keyboards, and records all the tracks, instrumental and vocal, for his original songs. In fact, he's been a recording artist for several years, releasing albums as a one-man band called Morbidly Obese Seal.
Luke shared his songwriting abilities with Roper's upper school choirs this year. He arranged his own song, Come and Find Me, and created 2 other beautiful new choral arrangements for us to perform at our concerts this spring. He's a great collaborator, ensemble member, and a natural leader, whether with his peers at Roper, creating a production at Stagecrafters, or with the little ones at Roper Summer Camp. Luke came to Roper in 6th grade. His mother, Barb, shared that he didn't feel challenged at his previous school, and since joining our community has found it the perfect environment to grow, thrive, and become confident in who he is. Confidence is something I've noticed about Luke since meeting him for the first time his freshman year. At the time, I may have mistaken his confidence for cockiness, as Luke was growing his skills as a singer and was pretty much a mystery to me. But that same young artist released a single later that same year, Spaceship Dogs. Check it out sometime. It isn't the least bit cocky. It's fun, clever, and it uses the auto-tuner like a boss. And while you're at it, check out Morgan Lee Seal's brand new album, Cloud 9, available wherever music is streamed. There you go. Luke and I have an interesting dynamic in the classroom. He works hard, practices, prepares, and locks in when required. He's everything you wish for in a student, self-motivated, curious, capable, and passionate. He's also a funny guy, as evidenced by his careful concoction of puns and memes sprinkled like seasoning throughout every class, just to keep things spicy. Luke knows how to cultivate a clever moment and use it to entertain. I used to call him a teenage meme lord, but his humor has become broader and more generous than peddling in commonplace memes, most of the time. Both Barb and Luke's father, Mark, wrote to me about Luke's passion, and specifically how deeply he cares about people and the world around him. I've seen it many, many times myself. He is not one to show his emotions on his sleeve, but Luke's abundant passion shines through in his relationships, his creative work, and when he stands up for what he believes is right. And so these qualities, confidence, creativity, humor, and passion, wrapped up in a lot of musical energy and ability, can describe much of the essence of Luke Rogers. Now, 'tis the season for dispensing wisdom and advice, and I feel called to share mine here. And whereas Luke has engaged in some gentle mocking of my tendency to expound during choir class on topics wise and grand, naturally for the betterment of my young charges, in fact, he has recommended I might find a new career in motivational speaking, which strikes me less as a backhanded compliment and more as just straight up shade. But you asked me to speak for you, Luke, and you've had your spoonful of sugar, so here's my medicinal advice. Become more of a dork. Yeah. Musicians are very often wonderful people. That is, people who contain wonders. Quickness, empathy, flexibility, the ability to work with a wide range of humanity, and excellent final motor skills. But musicians are just as often absolute dorks. Geeky little nerds from a galaxy far, far away. Weirdos with odd tastes, quirks of every variety, incredibly keen ears, and even more sensitive hearts. This is not always easy, and you may be mocked for it. But as a musician, you have ahead of you a remarkable journey of connections. Connection with others that you will like, some you will probably not like, and most essentially, a connection with yourself. You have to have a lot of self-knowledge to be a fine musician, and even more so to write your best music. So I charge you on this day, in this place, in front of these lovely people, many of them, including myself, are dorks of the highest order, that after 7 years at Roper, with a loving community who supported your quest towards confidence, your path toward becoming a fine musician, and your discovery of your passions, to embrace your inner dork. Give him lots to be passionate about, and let him fly his little dork flag and find others like him. Create all the dorkiest things and show them to your comrade dorks, and then go out and have dorky milkshakes and talk about Luke will study commercial music at Central Michigan University in the fall on a full scholarship, including $5,000 for studying abroad. I have no doubt that his humor, his passion, and his wonder-filled musical self will take him on wild adventures in Mount Pleasant and beyond. Fellow Roperian dorks, I present to you Lucas Vincent Rogers of the class of 2026.
in the movie Groundhog Day. You see, not only did the same words appear over and over, but the responses themselves mirrored the journey of Bill Murray's character, Phil Connors. In the movie, Phil discovers several important life lessons, the first of which is to fully embrace every experience thrown at him. This philosophy is one that Cosmo himself embodies. For example, forensics teammate Brooklyn Pfeffer noted, when Cosmo really cares about something, he throws himself into it. And this passion isn't limited to forensics either. Cosmo holds belts in jiu-jitsu, karate, and regularly practices mixed martial arts. He also tries activities that are outside his comfort zone, such as joining the basketball and the soccer teams last year, or acting in the musical and directing a play this year. Alex Pedica states, I admire Cosmo's willingness to learn something new and to grow from that experience. Another lesson that Phil Connors discovers is to truly love life. Well, everyone who knows Cosmo knows that he loves life fearlessly and he lives it to the full. Kelly McDowell recalls that Cosmo would join her and Rocco on walks during the pandemic, and he would take nature photos, adding, Cosmo is an appreciator of the little details of life. And his love of life is not limited to nature, but apparently extends to entrepreneurship. Adam Bondi tells us that a few years ago, Cosmo called him up and said, hey, let's start a business. And they did that, washing windows by cold calling on homes in Birmingham. Adam admits that he was really too scared to talk at the doors, but Cosmo would do so every time because that's just the kind of guy he is, fearless. Finally, the greatest life lesson Phil Connors learns is to make new friends wherever he goes. And here is where I was living my own 6 a.m. February 2nd, because in nearly every response, Cosmo's ability to connect and quickly make friends was what they admired most about him, with the exception of his dual partner, Mary Gable. For example, Rocco Morrow said, what makes Cosmo special is that he genuinely cares about everybody he meets. Rogie Amaral added, Cosmo's friendly personality builds connections with other teams while providing an impressive amount of support to his teammates. Hollis Perry stated, Cosmo makes friends with literally everybody all of the time. And Stella Fenton remarked, Cosmo is always the friend you can count on. In the movie, when Phil Connors realizes the importance of friendship, he grabs his former classmate, Ned Ryerson, in a warm embrace. All who are friends of Cosmo know he is a world-class hugger. Brooklyn Pfeffer stated so eloquently, anytime we spot each other in the hall, he sweeps me up in a big hug, which is immediately one of the highlights of my day. So I leave you with Phil Connors' final words, which could easily be the life philosophy of Cosmo Stuckey. You'd better make the most of the time you've got. And do I still think that you would make a killer Bill Murray in Groundhog Day? Yes, I do. But honestly, you make an even better Cosmo Stuckey. I am pleased and honored to present to everyone today 2026 graduate Ty Julian Stuckey.
Cal is not an open book. And despite having been at Roeper since second year stage 4, urban legend would have you believe that some people have never heard his voice. Cal needed Roeper initially for math, and math did shape much of Cal's time here. Yet Cal never limited his academic choices. He seems to have tried it all. Spanish, weightlifting, so many art classes, both fine and performing, and journalism. Cal is not given to florid descriptions in his writing, unlike his teachers who seem as if they are speaking hyperbolically when in fact he really is that remarkable. Hardworking, dedicated, willing to take a risk. Kevin wrote that Cal has one of the most impressive mathematical minds he has ever seen. When you exhaust all math classes at Roeper, you create your own, like differential equations, linear algebra, advanced math methods, and formal reasoning and discrete mathematical systems. And when you have a fun day in advanced math, when you can ask Andrew Gluckman anything math related, Cal naturally wanted to discuss the Zermelo-Frankel set theory and the axiom of choice to define a consistent universe of sets free from paradox. Andrew was voiceover, Cal did an excellent job mimicking the soft-spoken British accent as if he was hiding behind a tree to observe the bugs in the water. Well, actually in the basement. Cal challenges himself and keeps himself interested by adding humor and personal information to his work, even if he's the only one who gets it. The video was a masterpiece with considerably fewer bugs than Cal had initially thought. Cal was on the varsity soccer team throughout upper school. Ed told me that Cal was one of the smartest, hardworking, and unselfish players he had ever coached. That Cal's soccer IQ always put him one step ahead of the defense. Behind Cal's crooked smile and soft-spoken demeanor was a chess master at work, waiting for the perfect time to attack. Cal's determination and heart made him look and play like Ronaldo. Cal always plays for others to succeed, passing up scoring opportunities so others could experience their first. In Cal's own subtle way, he can be extremely stubborn. This became obvious in a few of his articles for our journalism class. I strongly suggest that you avoid engaging Cal on either Michigan's mortal enemy, the deer, or the dwindling population in Michigan, which he would have happily subtitled, "Nobody Wants to Live in Michigan." Next year, Cal will be studying, surprise, math at the University of Michigan, and it's okay not knowing what that degree will lead to. Cal's not inclined to give a list of people to thank, but I'm sure you know who you are. Cal told me that what he will miss most is the culture at Roeper, where you know everyone, even if you don't always say hello. I am delighted to present to you Roeper graduate Cal Vanderhook.
Noah has always been fascinated by how the world works. According to his sister Natalie, the fascination began early. In second grade, Noah collected quartz rocks from lakes and rivers because he believed he could sell them to companies making granite countertops. He also researched rare coins in hopes of earning a profit. That same curiosity has defined his time at Roeper. Whenever he is studying, Noah has never been satisfied with simply learning the material. He wants to understand how ideas connect, why they matter, where they lead. His love of mathematics led him beyond the standard curriculum into advanced independent studies and summer programs. And Noah Gibbs is an exceptional mathematician, not because he can solve equations, but because he never stops asking questions. Across every subject, teachers describe the same student: thoughtful, insightful, humble, and generous. Natalie experienced this firsthand when she found herself sharing a math class with her younger brother. She wasn't just understandably horrified, but she quickly noticed that Noah was never flashy about his abilities. He quietly answered questions, finished his work, and spent the rest of the class joking around with his friends. Not exactly the insufferable little brother she had braced for. His friend Will recalls that while the rest of the team warmed up with an easy jog, Noah, Will, and Goni were sprinting full laps around the building. Every practice, since middle school, 2 laps, full speed, leading finishes. This is a good analogy for his academic career. He runs like it matters. Noah participated in soccer, basketball, track, concert band, jazz band, and the Student Diversity Advisory Committee, while also playing club soccer and volunteering with Food Rescue US and Lasagna Love. Athletic Director Ed Sack noted that Noah's senior year was defined by his team-first mentality. In soccer, he willingly played whatever position his team needed and stepped into an unfamiliar role when a teammate was injured. Coaches across every sport saw the same thing. He was the person who put the team ahead of himself every time. His friend Cal described him as one of the hardest working people he knows, someone who manages to do a million different things while excelling at all of them. Cal also wanted everyone here to know that Noah is the second best foosball player in the school. Behind Cal. The mathematics are under that are being peer reviewed at the moment. But some of Noah's favorite memories came from independent math classes with Cal, Will, and Henry, and playing miniature golf in the commons with his friends. When I asked what he was most grateful for, he didn't mention grades or awards. He said he was grateful for the people who helped him discover his passions and supported him along the way. This fall, Noah will head to Harvard University to study applied mathematics and economics. He hopes one day to use math to do good in the business world. To do good. Noah's intelligence is extraordinary and his curiosity is remarkable. But what makes him truly special is the way he combines those gifts with humility, kindness, and purpose. There may be no formula for predicting exactly where life will take Noah Gibbs. But if this time at Roeper has taught us anything, is that wherever he goes, he will keep asking thoughtful questions, pursuing meaningful solutions, and making the people around him better in the process. And that Noah is a proof worth watching unfold. Good luck to you, Noah Johnson Gibbs, class of 2020.
Hello, I am honored to be speaking on behalf of Aiden Paroff. This is my 12th year at Roeper, and for 7 of those years, I have had the absolute pleasure of teaching Aiden. From the very beginning, Aiden was an enthusiastic music student. In fact, my very first interaction with him was an email he sent a few weeks before 6th grade. The email simply read, "Hi Eric, I recently found out I'm in your class. Woohoo! Smiley face emoji, thumbs up emoji." I can count on one hand the number of August emails that I've gotten from students just to say they were excited to be in class. You may know from our concerts and his many years with the Detroit Symphony Civic Youth Ensembles that Aiden excels at the French horn and the guitar. But he's also a whiz at creating, editing, producing, using digital tools, plays the bass, the piano, the drums, and also has a wonderful singing voice. Aiden is an incredible musician, producer, collaborator, most importantly, person. I think his senior project highlights this. For his project, he decided he wanted to do 2 things: create his own music and give back to the community. For the former, he would write, perform, and produce an EP. For the latter, he wanted to help our band program by mentoring our 2 7th grade horn players and conduct 2 pieces with our middle school concert bands at our concerts. During his time working with our younger students, Aiden's compassion, drive for excellence, and desire to help others was inspiring to watch. Aiden's not just a stellar musician, but he's also a kind and caring individual. Roeper teacher Adam Darrington says about Aiden, "This year I've seen Aiden really step up and be a leader. As an affinity group leader with the Jewish Student Union, Aiden has worked hard with others to create meaningful space for both Jewish and non-Jewish students on our campus to celebrate, commemorate, mourn, and understand together. In times like these, we need leaders like Aiden to bring us the joys of life and to make space for us to simply be together and talk." This leadership and taking time to check on others is indicative of Aiden's character. Friend Lila Must shared that Aiden is a deeply caring and selfless person. My favorite moments with Aiden aren't the times we did specific planned things, but rather the opposite. The times we laid in the snow, staring at the sky after sledding, or drove around listening to music and watching the sunset. Mira Gable seconds those feelings, saying, "Aiden is someone who always has your back no matter what. I can't count the number of times Aiden has offered to pay for mine or someone else's food, or the number of times he's gone out of his way to help somebody out by giving them a ride or letting us use his house to hang out. Aiden is someone I can always count on to be level-headed even when everyone else isn't thinking clearly. He's one of my go-to people for advice about anything. Would that we all could have a friend like Aiden." There has rarely been a school day that goes by without Aiden popping in to say hi, chat about something really cool he's working on, or just life in general. Or he might pop in, see that I'm not in the room, and proceed to hide a doodle of a pooping cat somewhere in my living room. It's sort of his version of Aiden was here. I'm certainly going to miss the impromptu conversation and the doodles, but I know it's time for us to share Aiden with the broader world. He will be attending Oberlin Conservatory in the fall with a focus in music production. Roeper community, I present to you 2026 graduate Aiden Penn. I did a Google search on the following phrase and learned several things. Look what the cat dragged in is a classic idiom used to acknowledge someone's unexpected arrival. The phrase comes from the natural habit cats have of proudly presenting their owners with prizes, like a caught mouse or bird that they've found outside. If someone says this to you, they typically mean one of two things. As a joke, a playful, sarcastic greeting to a friend who just showed up. As an insult, a blunt way to say you look terrible, messy, or you had a very rough night. I was then offered the option to look at some of the best and worst thing cats actually dragged into the house, and to listen to the title track of Poison's 1986 album, Look What the Cat Dragged In. Gee golly gosh, is the internet full of marvelous things. One day in November of 2023, nearish to Thanksgiving, Brooklyn Pfeffer drew a new interpretation of this phrase on my classroom whiteboard. It was a cat dragon with claws and whiskers, horns and wings, and a reptilian tail. The creation also had a name tag that read, "Hi, my name is what?" Yes, thank you. The whole class and I were immediately charmed by Brooklyn's imagination. I will forever keep the pencil version of What the Cat Dragon pictured alongside his cat dragon friends, Who and Slim Shady. This is a sort of metaphorical encapsulation of Brooklyn's time at Roeper, at least from my point of view. It started quietly curious, grew through patience, practice, and perseverance, and lo, a charming personality appeared. Confidence grew, theatrical, musical, forensic, and artistic hijinks ensued, and an effortless wit emerged, like smoke from a cat dragon's nostrils, leaving traces of Brooklyn's presence in the air for all to notice and appreciate. I asked Brooklyn's family about his time at Roeper. They shared memories of family life over the years, of vacations and downtime, and Brooklyn's acting as a chauffeur to and avid audience member at his sister's sports games. They wrote of watching Brooklyn on stage, singing with his whole heart and giving every ounce of creative energy to his character portrayals and forensics pieces. They could see his confident, creative energy in those moments and sensed how much he connected with his fellow performers and the audience. And at the Festival of Senior Projects, his parents and I went piece by piece through his gallery of artwork, marveling at the details. The careful application of glaze on a hand-built creature, the confident pencil shading in a self-portrait, a new and colorful rendition of What the Cat Dragon, and the charmingly lifelike characterization of one Bryce Broughton. I don't think it's an overstatement to say that his mother Jamie, father Gideon, and sister Reese are a bit in awe of Brooklyn's artistic skill and his passionate commitment to it. I know I am. I remember a time during vocal techniques class in Brooklyn's freshman year. He took on the challenge of the song Gimme Gimme, a showstopper from Thoroughly Modern Millie. It starts in a free recitative style and requires the performer to convince the audience that they're at a pivotal life moment right at the beginning of the song. I was mostly focused on helping Brooklyn feel confident as a singer and able to reach the highest and lowest notes. And he found those in time and sang a song really well for a novice singer. But he found the dramatic timing too, and I could feel the intensity of his conviction, a crystal clear desire to express himself. Fast forward 3 years, and behold, Brooklyn has played leads in every U.S. upper school musical, and from a spirited ingenue to a greedy villain, to a corn-loving, murderous artist landlord who moonlights as a feline Phantom of the Opera. He holds together the alto section in the Roeper choirs and adds his beautiful voice to the tenor section at his church choir job. He has given beautiful solo performances of songs in English, Italian, and German. And he is a prize-winning, audience spellbinding competitor in the poetry category at the last 2 state championship-winning Roeper forensics teams. I asked forensics coach Laura Moore what she saw in Brooklyn that perhaps he doesn't see in himself. She said, "I think Brooklyn underestimates his ability to lead,
his ability to watch and assess the vibe of our team and then find meaningful ways to act to keep them together, even when it may have seemed impossible, were a gift and something that Brooklyn does naturally. I hope he continues to bring his quiet leadership and emotional understanding to all he meets, and that he realizes his leadership style is one to be valued. Brooklyn will soon be off to study art and design at the University of Michigan's Stamps School of Art and Design. I suspect while in Ann Arbor, he will discover new cultures and perhaps their cat dragons, Kay, Voss, and Kesquise. To close, I'll share a quote from Brooklyn's mom, Jamie. This is hard, sorry. I don't think Brooklyn knows how much he has already changed the people around him just by being himself. He probably thinks he's just living his life, but the rest of us can see the strength it took to get here, and how much brighter things are because of it. I don't think he fully understands yet how rare and valuable that is. Brooklyn will make the world more beautiful and more honest through his art, his presence, and his example. And whatever he creates, on canvas, on stage, in a room full of people, it will be real and it will matter. I couldn't agree more. Friends, I present to you Brooklyn Pfeffer from the class of 2026.
Shares her whole self with her friends and her family. Brooklyn Pfeffer explains, even while balancing her own countless commitments, Mira makes a point to make time for others. Adam Perov says, Mira has this ability to make everyone around her feel supported, no matter what's going on in her own life. Whitman adds, this hour I tell things in confidence. I might not tell everybody, but I will tell you. Mira's close friends are not limited by peer group or grade level. Roji Amaral explains, Mira always provides relatable support to her struggling teammates, and I truly feel like I found a great friend. She also connects on a deep level with those who are much older than her, including her teachers, her parents, and her Savta. As her mother Canary explains, Mira deeply cares about the people in her life. Another clue to our mystery here, Whitman writes, I believe in you, my soul. Truly believing in her own soul was one of the biggest challenges that Mira faced here at Roeper. Her journey in forensics is probably the greatest testament in this regard, with alum Hollis Perry adding, Mira's ability to never give up, even when she was down on herself, is something that never failed to amaze me. Ben Fisher adds that the hardest mountain Mira climbed was the acquisition of confidence befitting a leader of her nature. And for the final mystery reveal, I am going to invite the class of 2026 to stand up with you. Everybody up. And stretch your legs. Ooh, fun, right? Whitman implores each one of us to sound our barbaric yaw, Y-A-W-P, over the roofs of the world. Or as one writer puts it, embrace a voicing of our own true authentic selves. So class of 2026, on the count of 1, 2, 3, you're going to yaw after the 3. Ready? Here, you want to face them? Do you with them? Or you want to face out? Face them. All right, I know you can do this. A third of this class did forensics, so they can do this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah! There you go. Thank you very much. Sit down. As someone who told me she, quote, cannot yell, your yaw, Mira, and that of the class of 2026 here has carried each of you far during your time here at Roeper. Whitman reminds all of us at the end of his poem, if you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. Mira Gable's footprints are everywhere here at Roeper. From volleyball and basketball to band to Model UN to being only one of 4 students who participated on all 3 years of Roeper's 3-peat state championship forensics team. So Mira, as Whitman's prologue states, this is what you shall do. Read these leaves every year of your life. Dismiss whatever very flesh shall be a great home. Mirror Gable is not perhaps the mystery that she had hoped for, but she is truly a great home. And we look forward to the new leaves that she will write as she enters the University of Chicago this fall. So Mira, here we stand. I am proud to present Class of 2026 Roeper graduate, Mira Hope Gable.
Today I'm here to talk about someone who means a great deal to me, Tatiana Roeper. As I sat down to write this speech, I struggled with where to begin, not because I didn't know what to say, but because there was simply so much I could say. I wanted to find a way to describe Tatiana that went beyond academics and athletics. Those things matter, but they don't fully explain who she is. Tatiana is smart, athletic, courageous, strong, funny, ambitious. The list could go on and on and on. But beyond the Supreme socks, the Eric Manuel shorts, the new kicks, the fresh new hairdo, I want to dig a little deeper and paint a real picture of Tatiana. Of the Tatiana I've grown to know the last 5 years. I came up with 3 words I believe helps paint that picture. The first word is magnetic. Now, when I say magnetic, I don't mean loud, I don't mean attention-seeking. I mean the kind of person you naturally gravitate towards, the kind of person who makes you want to show up for them. I remember a time when Tatiana wasn't even playing for me. I drove to watch her play in an AAU tournament simply because I wanted to support her. After the game, she came up to me and said, "Coach, can you go ask my AAU coach if you can be her assistant coach?" I'm like, "Tots, absolutely not." 1, I do not want to coach AAU. 2, I do not know this lady. And 3, I am not about to go ask for a job I did not apply for. But Tots kept asking and asking and asking. And somehow, before I knew it, I was on the sidelines as her AAU assistant coach. Looking back at that story, that's Tots. She has the incredible ability to make people want to invest in her. Her character, her heart, and the way she treats people just makes you want to be a part of her journey. The second word I chose is dependable. For 3 years, I could put Tatiana anywhere on the floor and know exactly what I was going to get. Effort, heart, and someone willing to do whatever the team needed. There were plenty of times when I had her playing out of position on defense in our 2-3 zone. I would put her down low, leaving her to guard players who were bigger than her, and most players would complain. Tatiana never did. She would go battle for rebounds, defend bigger players, and accept every challenge I gave her without hesitation. When I asked some of the people closest to her to describe her, her friend Aria said, "Tatiana seems like a nonchalant jokester who is always finding the light side of things. But as you get to know her better, you discover someone who is incredibly and emotionally intelligent. Someone who notices things that most people miss, and someone who cares deeply about the people around her." As I read that, I thought, yep, that's Tots. I think that's exactly what makes her so dependable. Her willingness to do the hard things doesn't come from wanting recognition, it comes from caring. Caring for her teammates and caring about being someone others could count on. Aria also said that Tots is someone with immense depth and range, but it takes time before you get to see that gift. I was lucky enough to see that gift. The more years I coached her, the more I realized there was so much more to her than what you saw on the surface. There were plenty of times when I challenged her because I knew how talented she was. I tell her all the time, "You could be the best player on this team, you need to act like it." Not because she wasn't doing enough, but because I saw something special in her sometimes she didn't fully see in herself. And maybe that's why I always talk to Tots different. I always treated her like she was one of my child. "Mom and Dad, I know you all met her first, but we gotta share this kid." If I had to land on one word that really defines her beyond everything else, it would be fearless. I stole that word from Tatiana's mom, but it fits her so perfectly. When I asked Tots' mom for one word to describe Tots, here's what she said: fearless. In many situations where other people would feel afraid, she is always brave. She is always willing to step into anything that may be challenging, whether it's physically, athletically, or socially. She stands up for what she believes in. She's not afraid to speak her mind and be herself at all times. If I had to pick just one moment where Tatiana showed me she was fearless, I would go back to one of our first encounters. I attended one of her middle school games, and after the game, she walked up to me and asked me if she could practice with the high school team. Not many 8th graders are walking up to the high school coach asking that. Most will be nervous or second-guess themselves, but not her. This is literally the perfect example of her being fearless. Tatiana, none of what I said even begins to capture who you are. because you are not just a player I coach. You are someone who impacts people simply by being yourself. You draw people in without trying, you show up for others without hesitation, and you face life with a kind of courage that can't be taught. Before I finish, I want to share a message with you from your mom. She says, one thing I hope you always remember about yourself, you are enough, exactly the way you are. Although there may be times when you are feeling unsure, you are still enough. Even if you are struggling, it doesn't mean you don't belong, you are still enough. Tatiana, I hope you hold on to that, because there will be moments in life where you question yourself, moments where things feel unfamiliar, heavy, or uncertain. But I need you to remember this. Don't ever dim your light. You are exactly who you think you are. If I taught you anything as your coach, let it be this. You are powerful beyond measures, and there's nothing you can't do. In the fall, Tatiana will be attending Michigan State, where she will be studying psychology and African American studies. Tatiana, the sky is the limit. This is only the beginning of your journey. Go be great, twin.
Adam Bondi's optimism is tenacious. You see him walking down the halls of Roeper, or taking the many athletic fields he competes on. He has an aura about him that exudes confidence. His grit and determination are a view of his greatest strengths. His parents share that when he decides he wants something, he goes all in, and nothing really stops him. He walks around with a look on his face like he has the answers to the test. Not in an arrogant way, but with the knowledge of knowing he has put in the work, and they will give himself completely to the task in front of him. I'll share with all of you those answers that Adam has learned so well. Be kind to others. Soak up the experiences presented in life and do your best in all you get involved with. Roeper has played a big part in teaching these life lessons. Adam told me, Roeper has taught me to talk to everyone. It is great at presenting opportunities, and because Roeper is a school with difficult classes, it promotes the need to work hard. It sets a good example for life. If you work hard, you'll achieve your goals. Another contributor to Adam's knowledge of these principles in life comes from his families and teachers. When asked what one of their proudest moments from Adam's time at Roeper, his parents replied, it was when a friend's father expressed how impressed they were with Adam making a point to include others. Jen says, that meant a lot to us because it reflects who Adam is at his core. Roeper teacher Hassan Humandi, who Adam looks up to, has shared stories with Adam and his philosophy of do it right or don't do it at all. Their friendship is mutual. Adam told me Hassan entered the name Adam into the pool to be chosen for his grandson. And amazingly, he now has a grandson named Adam. These are the bonds Adam creates. In fact, this year, led by their captain, our golf team was summed up by one word, friendship. When you ask his friends to describe Adam in one word, you receive responses like loyal, driven, and dedicated. Fellow senior Rocco Moro adds, Adam never lets anyone feel left out. He is one of the most inclusive people I have ever met. His teammate Jack Cook shares, whenever I need school help for a ride, Adam is there no matter how long it takes. Senior Evan Pazzulli contributes, Adam makes a clear plan and holds himself to it. Everyone can make a plan, but very few stick to it. Adam does. Again, be kind to others, soak up experiences, and do your best. Great lessons to know. Adam will be attending Notre Dame in the fall. He hopes to go into financing or accounting, following the footsteps of his father, who was a accounting major at Notre Dame. It has been his dream since childhood. Visiting the campus, going to games, seeing the posters on his wall has helped fuel his hard work and effort to make it a reality. The only slight variance to this dream was during a week-long college visit to Jackson Hole Community College. But even that couldn't stop this man on a mission. He looks forward to meeting new people and trying new things, but still embracing his keys to life. I am grateful to have soaked up the time we spent together, and like many of his friends, I'm excited to continue to bear witness to the many accomplishments ahead of him. I know they will be done with heart, fortitude, and appreciation. it is my extreme honor to present to you Roeper graduate Adam Joseph Bondy.
According to Ed Sack, who I always believe about everything, Will didn't begin in high school as a gifted athlete. Surprising? How, you ask, did Will become one of our all-time most accomplished athletes, scoring the second highest number of baskets, setting 4 Roeper track records, and playing soccer? Ed's answer: relentless effort, self-drive, an unwavering commitment to improvement. So now you should be asking, where did those qualities of focus, diligence, responsibility come from? I suspect they were innate. They might have always been there in some form, but it was his family, their close cadre of friends, and Roeper that nurtured that seed to grow that strong. Ryan Zinser told me that Will has the most amazing family that has instilled in him high morals and given him the freedom and support to pursue his passions. Example? His moms, Kathy and Sean, just let him dig up the front lawn to put in nut and fruit trees to provide a thicket and food for birds. Kathy Tyson, a close family friend, added that Roeper's learning environment gave him the opportunities and challenges that fostered his growth toward maturity and responsibility. I remember Will's 8th grade year. I remember him staying after almost every class to ask questions and to challenge my answers. He made me a better teacher, a better thinker, a better person by doing so. He feels a responsibility to understand and to help others understand. Later in high school, Will was the main founder of the Roeper Democratic Club. Outside of school, he was a champion door knocker for political candidates and a member of the Birmingham Bloomfield Democratic Club. Recently, he helped organize and then moderate a panel of notable civic leaders, including our probable next governor, to explain to students why they should get involved to make things better. And I'm not going to get into mention all of his work removing invasive species from the Bloomfield campus. But Roeper's idea of giftedness is not so much focused on high achievement as on personality traits. Lower school art teacher Jerry Ruddy said that at an early age, Will stood out with a sense of justice, idealism, and personal integrity. Kathy and Sean have found him to be compassionate, deeply empathetic, and possessing a strong sense of responsibility. Even in preschool. Now imagine, a 4-year-old Will. A 4-year-old, this is a quote. As a 4-year-old preschooler, he helped guide learning activities by creating handouts, selecting books, and art activities for the classroom, and even helped make a bulletin board featuring nature and conservation. His excitement and curiosity were contagious, inspired others, end of quote. This gets us to the Roeper philosophy. Will, like all of us, is on a journey to find himself and create a better self, with the support of and the benefit of community, self-actualization, and interdependence. Will knows he only does well when others do well. He needs help from others, and he needs to help others. Roeper, his family, and friends have empowered Will, and he has given back as an athletic leader, environmental warrior, exceptional student, political motivator, strong friend, and inspiration to so many, including me. Kathy Tyson thinks that Will might be an environmental designer creating spaces where all creatures can coexist, or a leader in the permaculture movement, teaching us how to live on this earth more sanely. Kathy and Sean predict his compassion, intelligence, and leadership will make him a leader in the environmental, sustainability, and public policy movements. To close, a quote from the Hindu Upanishads that Kathy Tyson gave me: "You are what your deep desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. And as your deed is your destiny. Next year, Will is off to begin his long life dream of attending U of M with majors in ecological civil engineering and evolutionary biology. William Dawson Claypool, you inspire us, make us proud. There's the world, make it better. World, here he comes. I give you William Dawson Claypool, Roeper class of 2026.
Here we are, the final scene of the high school coming-of-age movie, the graduation scene. Soon, the grads will toss their caps and credits will roll. Rocco Morrow has played so many parts during his time at Roeper, it's hard to say which one will be his most memorable. The first role that comes to mind is Class Clown. Rocco is a goofy goober, and as his Chris Farley t-shirts might suggest, he does not take himself too seriously. His wonderful ability to laugh at himself immediately puts others at ease and lightens the mood. Rebecca Mohara says she's never had a conversation with Rocco that didn't end in laughter. Toby Leopold calls Rocco unnaturally funny, and Stella Fenton concurs, describing him as the absolute life of the party. Paradoxically, Rocco is also the honest heartbeat of the student body. He will be the first to politely call someone out and encourage them to do better. He is self-reflective and determined to be a good role model for others. Stella explained this duality. Even though he's the class clown, he knows how to talk deeply about emotions and make a person feel seen and heard. His supporting role as best friend has been one of his most valuable. Evan Pizzoli explains, he's always in a joking mood, but if there's something serious to discuss, he can switch, and he gives the best advice. Adam Bondi takes it farther, saying, really, Rocco isn't just my best friend, he's the best friend anyone could have. Rocco has always put others' needs first. From a young age, when he started making movies with friends, the bad guy would always be off screen so that everyone had the chance to play the good guy. This is generous because although Rocco's friends are no slouches, as you've heard, Rocco is so obviously the good guy. Roz Larson likens Rocco to Kermit the Frog. Rocco's ability to lead by example, maintain an unwavering positive attitude, and unite diverse groups of people is paralleled only by Kermit himself. While he could win an award for supporting actor, Rocco is best suited for the leading role. He has wowed us starring as the title character in both Shrek and Beetlejuice, where we witnessed his creative genius. He's also the lead singer of Roper's unofficial house band, Gardenia, who has played at every celebratory event for the last 3 years. When this group of graduates reflect on their high school memories, it is Rocco's voice that they will hear as the soundtrack of their lives. The best main characters inspire us to live better and to be better. Adam Darrington nailed it when he said, what sets Rocco apart is his sense of leadership. He inspires me to be a kinder, more empathetic, weirder person. Gavin Dakey agrees, simply saying, Rocco is the type of person everyone should aspire to be. Rocco guides us in small, quiet ways, like making friends with delegates at Model UN conferences and rooting for an underdog at school. He also shows us in huge, sweeping gestures, like creating a music festival, the Fighting Tuna Fest, to unite our community, celebrate our talents, and make lasting memories. He's more than earned the title of leading man. Rocco possesses none of the self-interest or ego that we frequently criticize in our stars. Rather, he broadens the spotlight so that we can all shine too. It is only fitting that the final song on the soundtrack is Graduation Day, played by Gardenia, which you will hear during the recessional. And never fear, Rocco will be working on his sequel next year at University of Michigan, where he will continue to pursue his passions with a BFA in acting. We are sure it's going to be a hit. I am so thrilled to present to you Roeper graduate, Rocco Giovanni Morrow.
you ever flip your whitewater raft, have Caitlin Gruber with you. 3 days ago, I was in a raft with Caitlin on the Yakagani River. We had cleared 10 rapids. We're heading for the takeout when she blamed me for this, but that's neither here nor there. We shot down a wave, spun perpendicular to a hydraulic, which was explained to me, but I can't explain to you, and we flipped over. We and the raft that came to save us, oh, there we go. Caitlin, Hadley, Waylon, Elizabeth, Zoe, and I all tumbled out, and then we and the raft that came to save us made it to the shore. The problem is that we had missed the exit point by a few hundred feet and had to walk up the rocky shore and bushwhack through the woods to meet the rest of the group. On the way back home to Michigan, Waylon and Elizabeth, 2 freshmen from our homeroom, shared with me how thankful they were for Caitlin. They said they weren't sure if they would have made it through without her. They talked about how she stayed positive in the face of our unexpected adventure, how she helped get them to shore, and how she bravely led the team through the literal and metaphorical woods. I wasn't surprised at all by her leadership. Falling out of the raft was surprising. Caitlin's friends and teachers gushed about her incredible empathy, passion, energy, toughness, desire to work hard, honesty, independence, and loyalty. Noelle, a junior from our homeroom, shared how Caitlin is one of the hardest working people she knows. Soccer coach Tyler Pemberton agreed, adding how hard she worked to earn her spot on the team from the very beginning, and how she grew into being a leader and a captain. Your forensics coaches have seen exactly the same season after season. Teachers Kelly McDowell and Natalie Abbott talked about how readily you give your time and energy to the community, and how you can see the humor in a situation and adapt to it. One of the clear themes that I came across as I talked to all the people, so many of the people that love you, is this: you love your friends fiercely and deeply. Among others, JJ and Mira emphasized how they can trust you to listen to and take care of them. But the thing that struck me most, Caitlin, is how well they know you and the advice they asked me to share. Aiden and Tatiana led like this: everything is a process. We are all changing, and that includes you. They know that when you're at DePaul, when you leave your comfort zone, you are going to get to know yourself a lot better. And Brooklyn and Mira want me to remind you that you are already an amazing and intelligent person, and that they don't tell you that enough, and sometimes you don't recognize it enough, and the people around you value you and your time. In fact, they said it's hard to fathom that sometimes you don't realize how great you are. When you stumble, and you will stumble, remember the faith we have in you and have a little in yourself. I speak for all of us, but I paraphrase Sosha when I say, we see you. We are proud of you. You have found your way and will continue to find new ways. We will always be cheering you on and here to support you, but not telling you what to do because we know you hate being told what to do. Caitlin Alyssa Gruber, I am so thankful to have been your teacher and cannot wait to hear about the adventures you find next. You have what it takes to navigate the rapids ahead, and don't you dare doubt it for a second.
The speech was written by Sarah Mendez, who could not be here. Lila is done here. She is far too polite to say it, but she has been done here for quite some time. According to Dad Jay, quote, we at Roeper's graduation are living the day that most consistently occupied Lila's imagination. Her superpower grade imagination has often been used to create countless wild or hilarious schemes aimed at her missing school or graduating early. This might make you think that Lila is some sort of slacker with a disdain for learning, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Lila just attained the ideal sought by George and Anne-Marie Roeper when creating this school, to become a self-actualized, intrinsically motivated, self-directed citizen of the world early in her Roeper journey. Lila did come to us forever ago. She remembers dropping off their older siblings with Rebecca even before she started attending stage 1, so that could be a contributing factor in how she became the ultimate #Roeper kid so early. But a lot of what makes Lila such a motivated and independent force has been in her all along. Throughout her time at the lower school and middle schools, Lila was consistently seen as a student who pushed herself and her learning beyond what was required. Lila's stage 1 teacher, Amber, noted that Lila was excited about working in her math and language books that she asked us to create for her. Lila found her love for animals and the environment while creating elaborate dolphin passion projects and tigerologies, and earned the most likely to spend 5 hours on a social studies assignment award at the 8th grade moving up ceremony. Lila did learn a few other things, though, that led her to be done with us and ready for much larger things. Firstly, she learned that her favorite moment of 6th grade camp was when the bus arrived to take them home. Then, her 6th grade year was interrupted by COVID, which, according to Lila, was amazing. During COVID's mandatory homeschooling time, Lila quickly finished her online assignments and learned that she loved having the time and freedom to pursue her own passions and projects. These included making incredibly detailed art, participating in photography competitions with her family, and taking her dog Stella on epically long walks. During this time, Lila saw her beloved sibling Lee graduate from Roeper in 2021 and go on to college. During their long conversations on FaceTime, Lee shared about being able to dive deep into subjects in chosen classes, managing their own time, and other magical sounding perks of being a college student. A love match was made in Lila's mind, and for the last 4 or 5 years, Lila's been dreaming of college. This isn't to say that Lila has been checked out of high school. She was still the observant, creative and motivated kid who in open studio decided to teach herself how to wheel throw and assemble the components to make a teapot, also teaching herself how to soak, bend, and wrap the bamboo for the handle. Matt Vallis described Lila as a researcher who can develop presentations where you feel that you are being taught by a history professor, rather a high school student. And for her senior project that explored how art serves as an archive for personal and national history, Lila created not 1, but 3 elements, each of which could have easily been an entire senior project in itself. A research paper about Chinese New Wave avant-garde art, a painting combining mapping and imagery of the area of China from which she was adopted, and an impactful short experimental film containing hand-colored frames about the people and places that have shaped her life. All of her teachers and classmates have been lucky to watch Lila keenly observe, assess, creatively design, and relentlessly work to create countless stellar projects throughout her time at Roeper. Humankind is now lucky because Lila will now direct her attention to our shared problem of the climate crisis. She's decided that her best course of action is studying international relations and environmental sustainability at Elon University in North Carolina this fall. And as for her future beyond college, Mom Liesel and Dad Jay, sibling Lee, all know Lila's vision down to the smallest details. She's definitely living in some gorgeous apartment in Europe with excellent lighting and probably a clean Scandinavian aesthetic, filled with colorful, poignant artworks she both makes and collects. In this European city, Lila has been working at a career that combines her creativity, her ability to see issues from a global perspective, and her skills in research into directly making a difference in the world around her. Also, this is crucial to the vision. She will be stopping for fresh fruit and pastries at a farmer's market after walking her rescue dogs along a canal. Knowing Lila, she will make it all happen. Lila, the moment you've been waiting for is finally here. I'm so proud to present Roeper graduate Lila Shinyu Must.
Have you ever looked at a masterpiece painting and thought, I could do that? Or watched an Olympic athlete and thought, that looks easy? Ren Yamamoto gave the audience this false feeling of ease and effortlessness while playing viola at his senior project recital. But playing Mozart so triumphantly is no happy accident. Ren has repeatedly made all-state orchestra and was chosen as principal viola this year. Achieving this level of mastery requires talent, but it also takes diligence and persistence. These are the exact qualities that he brings to every aspect of his life. Ren is a dynamo in the classroom, always taking copious notes in his signature cursive script. Ren studies so thoroughly, synthesizing his knowledge in color-coded review packets that he generously doles out to peers. Despite his pursuit of perfection, Ren isn't afraid to be wrong, and he continues to take chances. Friend Arya Agarwal marvels at Ren's dedication, saying Ren works hard as a student, but it also describes him as a friend and a person. He's always working on the best version of himself. Vivi Westenberg agrees. He cares a lot about his studies, but he puts the same effort, if not more, into his relationships. He can make a person feel special no matter what. Even the most banal tasks are an opportunity for Ren to make something extraordinary, and he approaches each one with precision. Chatting with friends becomes carefully categorizing and ranking slang terms. A pile of stuffies is actually a curated collection where each plushie is named and featured as a character in a homework assignment. This week's outfits are laid out as coordinated ensembles with matching hats to delight peers and teachers. Ren is an aesthetic. Always meticulous and comprehensive, Ren has been a vital member of the yearbook staff. He has contributed some of the most creative and stunning pages of the book over the years. Yearbook advisor Michelle Sandler noted that Ren's phenomenal attention to detail is imperative to the success of the book. This year, Ren's theme was finally chosen, and I'm sure we will all be delighted to see his creativity on display when the book is released tomorrow. Ren is authentic and honest. By celebrating his own differences and embracing his friends for who they are, he helps them to be their best selves. Max Margolis admires his determination and ability to make people feel included. Anna Stuntz elaborated, I admire how much care Ren gives out to the people and world around him. Ren is the one who organizes hangouts and regales friends with his joke a day. He is the one carrying a satchel full of essentials for any imminent need. He's the one doubling back at the end of a cross-country run to cheer for the younger runners, high-fiving them all the way to the finish line. Janelyn Newsom doted on Ren, saying he always gives to others without expecting anything in return. Megan Lewis said it best, he's a selfless inspiration to everyone. Next year, he will continue to inspire at University of Toledo, where he plans to study civil engineering, but not before he plays at Carnegie Hall this summer with his youth orchestra. In his Suzuki-style graduation recital, Ren finished with the beginner piece Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to remind us of where he started and to celebrate how far he's come. In that spirit, these comments from Ren's Stage 1 reports seem an appropriate way to finish as he began, and they are as true today as they were 15 years ago. Ren is a very bright boy who really takes information in and recalls it easily. He brings passion and excitement to all he does. He is full of light and joy. It is my honor to present to you Roeper graduate, Ren Dominic Yamamoto.
Good afternoon. Rebecca Maharez has an imagination so vast and a level of introspection that runs so deep that she can sprout green gardens even where the soil has run dry.
Her superpowers as a griot and an empath are not just innate, but they are nourished by service and purpose. We can all exhale because she has the stories we've been needing. She is the artist we've been waiting for. Rebecca's destiny towards becoming a griot has been in motion since she was 15 months. Her mother recalls her language being so advanced that folks would ask, how old is she really? She began her Roeper journey at 3 in the Hill House, where she would learn the many ways that she could use her voice. Colleen Shelton and Patricia Melton, Rebecca's stage 1 and 2 teachers, both remember baby Rebecca as a sweetheart who never caused a fuss. Actually, they said she avoided the fuss. They said that Rebecca never had to stand out. Her work did that. Her kindness too. Most of all, her eagerness to learn attracted a natural spotlight. I met Rebecca in 7th grade English, my first year at Roeper in 2020. I wondered who Rebecca was behind her mask and shield. She hardly spoke. Instead, she stared. Stacy Holloman, Rebecca's lower school teacher, says, to know Rebecca is to know that she talks with her eyes. Her eyebrows flicker, eyes widen and then squint. She listens closely. And then I read her poetry. And then I read her essay. And then I heard her poetry. Something's happening in this silence. To know Rebecca's artistic process is to understand that observation is its strongest feature. Green, her middle school social studies teacher, called this a quiet energy. She inhales the world around her and encapsulates the present. There is no pressure, there is no rush. She is awaiting the right medium to exhale a reflection. Her literary gifts are just as powerful as her musical ones. Abha, her former music teacher, praised Rebecca for having a beautiful, rich tone that brings people together. From lower school talent shows to virtual performances to Roper's Tuna Fest, Rebecca's artistry is a gift. It is no surprise that you earned first place Voice Award from the American Guild of Music. Teachers across Rebecca's journey have celebrated Rebecca's gifts as a writer. Her 9th grade English teacher and creative writing teacher, Rebecca Nelson, wrote, Rebecca writes with such a maturity that belies her age. You made history when you were named Roper's first poet laureate. And you took your writing in your own hands when you published 2 full-length projects, most recently a collection of poetry, and second, a novel, which received a Silver Key Scholastic Writing Award in 2012. Rebecca's art is so spellbinding because Kelly says it's where the heart and the head connect. She continues that few are brave enough to delve deeply into their emotional selves, and even fewer express the desire to be of service to their fellow human being when it requires serious hard work. Thankfully, there are those like Rebecca. Those like Rebecca bring heart to their work, not out of obligation, but out of authenticity. Her best friend of 16 years, Lila Musk, says that Becca's thoughtfulness makes you feel heard and cared for in an ineffable way. Rebecca's passion and commitment to being of service extended from the page to the lives of children. In addition to babysitting for 5 families, she returned to 7th grade English her junior year as my TA and my colleague. I was struck not just by your teaching, but by your dedication to building relationships with middle schoolers. I remember you being unafraid to sit on the carpet with a group of kids, and I remember you traveling through the classroom to help writers struggling in their own silence to see the power of their own voices. When reflecting on 2 years with you, 8th grader Blyden Williams says, her character is a beacon of what everyone should aspire to be. And he says that I am forever grateful that she has been a mentor in my life. Rebecca's work is powerful because she delves into her family archives to explore themes of belonging, childhood, and memory. Her colorful writing allows her readers to time travel through the complexities of being fully human. Because Rebecca is doing her own work, we all benefit, particularly those who are closest to you. When your power reflects on your writing, he feels a privilege that most grandfathers may never experience. Your mother is deeply touched that you kept memories of your childhood close, while your dad feels a completeness knowing that the power of family carries through you.
Aunt Shelley notices that you have a gift for capturing the beauty, humor, and meaning in family. Your oldest brother, Nicholas, feels touched to hear how much the smallest moments you shared together in childhood were actually profound. Andrew says that you can feel the memories and experiences wrap themselves around your heart until it's as if you're experiencing them yourself. And Christopher says your ability to capture someone's spirit in writing is so perfect. Not only speaks to your remarkable talent, but also distinct compassion as a sister, daughter, cousin, and friend. Rebecca, the artist, the archivist, the educator, and the advocate, you are hope personified. You are the sun, wind, and rain that grounds that willow tree, telling it to bend, not break. Everyone knows that everything you touch grows. Rebecca, we see you, and we can because you are. The fruits of your memory and labor have paid off in both a merit and fine arts scholarship to study child psychology and writing at Kalamazoo College this fall. So keep on writing, my friend, and be great, because why not? My friends, I present to you Roeper graduate Rebecca Nicole Acerno Ojares.
All right, seniors, in about a minute, and I promise 90 seconds tops, I'm going to be the 20th or maybe millionth person to congratulate you this week. But before, one more reflection on why we're all sharing that sentiment. Each of you began upper school with some kind of idea of what your life might become. And over the years, your dreams may have been realized, reimagined, flourished beyond what you'd hoped, or scrapped entirely. The path might have become daunting or just straight up different from what you'd anticipated. But what I remember as much as any of your accomplishments is the way that I watched you time and again, as individuals and as a grade, recalibrate, pivot, and adapt. Your resiliency, hope, and courage has been made manifest hundreds of times over, and your efforts have made you better humans, made Roeper a better school, and made your corners of the world better places to live. That is indeed the point of a great education. On an occasion such as this, it's tempting to think about the destination, the payoff at the end of a journey. But the point is always, always the journey itself. What you learn about yourself in the process, who you meet and connect with along the way, and how you use your experience to navigate your next task with just a little more grace, strength, and savvy. Much as we've done today, I hope you continue to see and celebrate your own journey, those of your friends, and even those you perhaps didn't know much about until today. Take these experiences and these relationships and go into the next phase of your life with determination and appreciation for all the world has to offer. And so let me be the first to salute you, no longer as seniors, but as active, compassionate citizens of the world, as graduates of the Roeper School. Class of 2026, you did it!